Guess who's back? I'm back. I just want to say hey to everybody that's taking the time out of their day to come with us. It's been a while. I can honestly say it's absolutely been a while. Took some time off, but things have circled back around where I can jump back on it. I'm looking to engage with everybody and have some good conversation. I've assembled the panel of amazing people right now to discuss our topic. Friendly fire is hate for the opposite sex, keeping you from finding true happiness. And before we start the show, I just want to dedicate today's show to my brother Desmond. He passed away a couple of months ago. He was a big proponent of me doing the show. He was a big fan, and he always said that when he got the nerve, he would jump on, but unfortunately, he wasn't able to. I just want to show I miss you, I love you, and thanks for all the support you gave me throughout my life. All right, brother? All right. Now we got that out the way. I want to start by introducing this, like I said, this supreme team of people that I have to go over to talk over the topic today. First, I want to start off with Letitia. Hold on a second. Sorry. I meant to make you big. All right. Now, this is an amazing woman right now. She was on my man Will's podcast. She is just a phenomenal woman. She has a master's degree in psychology. She's an amazing mother, been in a long-term 20-year relationship successfully, I must say. And she is a life coach. So follow her page. I'll have her link to her page and her information at the end of the show, but she's just a great person to follow. Next, I'm going to do you last because, Will. So let me pull up. Now, this is Sally Sale, but don't get it for this is Araceli Castro. She is just a woman of many very distinctions. She is a red carpet presenter, interviewer. She has her own production company called Sally Sale Productions. She is just an all-around boss lady in every aspect of the word, and she has some really great insights when it comes to relationships. So I definitely wanted you guys to talk with her, and I'm just so happy that she was able to join the panel. And Letitia, you get some clapping as well. Next, we have my girl Mena King. She is just an amazing person. Don't let her young age fool you. She has wisdom beyond her years. She always has some great spiritual and delightful insights. But if you cross her, she will cut you. She is just a fun person to be on the show with. I've been on many shows with her, and I just enjoy her presence so much. So thank you so much for taking the time of the day to jump on my show. All right. Next, we have my boy AK. Now, AK is a really smooth, cool guy. He has a podcast called Pass the Smoke. You have to go find Pass the Smoke on YouTube. He has some amazing insights. There's some really great shows on some real topical stuff, and he has some really good perspectives on some stuff that may make you think a different way about things. I like it. I would say that. So he's just a really smooth cat, great guy. Good to finally be able to collab with him, Mr. AK from Pass the Smoke. Next, I have, now this guy is the most stylish guy you'll ever see on any podcast in your life. He is a lifestyle and high-end luxury fashion impresario. Like, he has a wealth of experience and knowledge in various different topics. Anytime he's on a podcast, it classes up the joint significantly when he starts to talk. I just really enjoy being on podcasts with him and listen to him speak. He's just a smooth brother. Everybody can learn from this cat. Everybody give it up to Mr. Kasim Morris. Kasim Morris in the place. And last but never least, now this guy, I just happened to come across his show because Fatty from Team Fatty said she jumped on his show, so I followed him over there. And this guy he just blew my mind. He has some insights that are very in line to what I'm about, and that is finding long-term happy relationship solutions for people who are struggling to find relationships, things that we need to do in order to build trust and engagement and communication between the sexes. he's just an all around just good guy. And I was had the pleasure of being hosted by him on Saturday for my birthday. He really took time out of his day to like really make it a good day for me, and I really appreciate this guy. And I plan on doing a lot of work with him in the past. Everybody, Will from Kava Club Podcast is in the building. All right, everybody. And I'm a guy who does a thing once in a while with some people. So I give a round of applause for myself. All right. So let's just jump into the topic, guys. Basically, I just want to talk about some of the things I've kind of come across on this journey of mine in these YouTube streets. I've run across a lot of people who have issues with the opposite sex. I don't know what it is. It's just like there seems to be kind of this civil war going on. I could jump on panels that are mainly female centered panels, where all they talk about is how bad men are. Then I could jump on panels that are male centered, and all they can talk about is how bad women are. I was like, are women and men really that bad? And are their sentiments starting to kind of spoil the pot for people who are out there trying to really find connection and really find long-term relationships? Are they letting that kind of get into their bone marrow to start to believe the hype that women are no good or men are no good? So I wanted to assemble this panel because I want to get their insights. See if are they hearing the same things? Have they personally experienced some of this stuff, or do they have a totally different experience when it comes to how they view or how the people that they engage with view the opposite sex? Because I think we can come together and be on the same team, but I think we just need to kind of eliminate some of the naysayers and some of the white noise that kind of like that might be standing in our way. So I'm going to jump into the first question I got for you guys, and it's going to be a question for the women to get us started off with. All right. So the first question is, women, finish this sentence. All men are or always ... So I'm gonna go with you, Miss Sally Sale. Finish that sentence. What are you hearing? All men are or always?
Liars and cheaters.
Wow. Okay. Is that a common thing? You hear that a lot?
Yeah, I mean, it's everywhere. I mean, you got social media, you got memes, you got reels, you got, different individuals coming on and talking about those experiences all the time. So, yeah, that's kind of being fed into a lot of the women in society today. So, yeah, that's very prevalent today.
Okay.
Hmm.
All right. Miss Mena King, how you doing? Tell me
I'm
what you think.
good.
Finish the
Um,
sentence.
all men are misogynistic,
Oh, wow.
and if we want to take it up a scale, deadbeats when it comes to dads. I hear that a lot.
Okay. Wow. You took it there. Okay.
Yeah.
That's something I want to do. And how about you, Letitia? Finish the sentence. Women, all men are always...
They just took mine. Me and you were just talking about the deadbeats. That's what I always hear. It's either cheaters or deadbeats.
Okay. Now, with that being said, do you agree with those sentiments that you're hearing in them streets?
Absolutely not.
Okay. And do you often find yourself pushing back on it, or you just kind of just say, you know what, I'm gonna let them have their opinion, and then they'll find out through organically, they'll find out some way that what they're feeling, the way they're feeling is wrong.
I think it all depends on who you're talking to. Like if I was talking to a friend or someone who, I mean, it could even be associated. If that conversation was brought to me, then I'm gonna push back. Especially someone with five brothers and raised by her father. You know what I mean? So it's just kind of like I'm gonna push back every time. But at the same time, I understand that every man ain't my brother or my father or my close friends that I know who are good men. You know what I mean? So I think people confuse their experience with all men. That's your
Okay.
experience with that man or another man that you may have dealt with.
Okay. Anybody else?
Yeah, I think bouncing off of what she said too was that, for me, it's like that was their personal experience. I can't downplay what they possibly experienced. I think I can redirect, the situation that happened. I can kind of encourage, but I can also sympathize based on the very fact that I wasn't in their situation. So I don't know what all transpired or what all took place. However, you know, I've always been, because like you know, I've shared with you about, you know, I experienced a divorce, and you know, a lot of people are, you know, before that were divorced before me. They're like, I'm never gonna love again, you know, men this, men that. But for my experience, I understood where they were coming from based on the fact that now it was my personal experience. However, I chose to heal. I chose to not allow it to deteriorate me inside, to tear me down, um, you know, and like literally change my perspective on men, because at the end of the day, I'm like, I will love again. You know, I will find true love again. And I'm not going to give up on that, because I believe that good things come to those who heal and those who wait for the right time for everything.
I agree with that. Oh, I, you know, I 100% agree with that. Let me, you know what? I think I got a sound effect for that. I 100%. When I agree,
This nigga's spitting right now.
I mean, you are on point with that. All right, now let's go to the men. Same for you guys. Finish this line. All women are or will always. Let's go with you, AK. What are you hearing?
I hear that all women are either gold diggers or promiscuous.
Yeah, I hear that a lot in the streets too. Wow, and that's what about you, Kasim? You're on mute, brother.
Yeah. I hear that all women are three or fours, you know, and it's getting to the point where if you listen to the noise long enough, it'll change your perspective and get you into that mindset. So when you happen to look at women or be around or engage women, you already have this preconceived notion that you've been ingesting, that thinking that all of them are three or fours, and I don't believe that.
Okay. Why do you feel like you don't believe that? What how do you view women to where you don't let that white noise kind of get into your brain?
Man, you know, I'm around some pretty positive women. I'm around a lot of women that have good values and good morals, right? They present themselves in a certain way. Um, the conversations that I have with them, and when I meet, you know, their parents or their significant others, it just sheds a totally different light on what other individuals see. You know, maybe I just happen to be blessed with the type of environment that I'm with, and the people that I surround myself with, and the people that I associate with happen to have some really good old school values, you know, and
Okay.
morals and principles. And I think that says a lot.
Okay. Cool. How about you, Will?
I've heard similar things, but the main ones I've heard a lot of times from my podcast that all women are masculine, they're no longer wife material, and they avoid accountability for their pro-choices in men.
Okay. Do you usually agree with that point of view, or you usually have pushback? How do you feel when you're hearing these things with people that you're engaging with?
Well, whenever somebody says all, for me, that's just extreme, because you can't categorize every single person under one umbrella, right? There are good men out there. There are bad men. There are bad men out there. Same thing for women. There are good women out there, and there are bad women out there. I think just most people aren't really putting in the work for themselves and going out there in the dating world and taking responsibility for their own actions to get the type of partner they want. It's much easier to blame. And of course, we live in a society today that victimhood is the currency that you get rewarded for on social media. So instead of taking accountability and responsibility, it's much easier to post online and get likes and validation for being a victim. So we get rewarded for being a victim today.
I agree. Good point.
Yeah.
AK, I didn't ask you, what do you respond? How do you feel about everything that you're hearing from the people in the streets?
No, I mean, I disagree, man. I mean, you know, obviously, as Will said, I mean, you know, I don't really I usually speak in majority, right? I usually try to keep things in majority because, I mean, most people average kind of somewhere in between. So, I mean, I don't think that most women are, you know, promiscuous or bad or out to get you or gold diggers or even fours, as the other gentleman stated. But, you know, I mean, they do have some issues, but I don't think that I don't think it's as glaring as what people make it seem. You know, like social media, usually it's the loudest. It's not necessarily what's right. It's just the ones that are pissed off are the ones that are the loudest. So that's what we hear the most of. That's
Yeah,
what
that's what they say. That they say the weakest one and the loudest one is just the weakest one. Shout out to Denzel Washington and American Gangster.
Right.
So let me show some love to the chat real quick, because I really appreciate them jumping on. First, I want to say what's up to Sharon. I know you're probably out in the ocean, middle ocean somewhere. So if your internet's good enough for you to jump on, feel free to jump on anytime. We really would appreciate your insight because you always come with some good stuff. So shout out to my man Sharon. Welcome to the Shadow Realm. I think that's Fatty's new situation. So pleasure that you're here. Monica Daniels. Now, Monica is somebody I really care about because she happens to be my cousin, and I really appreciate her and love her. So appreciate you showing some love, Monica. Hennessy Rose is actually my girl, China. China is good to be back as well. She is an amazing person, and I'm sure you'll see her on one of these panels when she gets some time. She has some really, really good insights, and is always a ball to have on a panel. My cousin TJ. He said black men don't cheat. Okay. Then if they don't, what do they do? It was good. Me and TJ got to hang with Will on Saturday, and it was just a good time. Fatty, Team Fatty, what's up, brother? Looking forward to interviewing you tomorrow. On a Wednesday. Definitely got some things I think the people are wanting to know about you. Get more insight to what makes you tick. So hopefully I can give them a good show. Joseph James. Now this is a really solid cat as well. I worked with him. He's a really strong cat. Appreciate you, brother, for coming and showing some love. All right. Great Pill Podcast. Now, appreciate you, AB. He's the guy who kind of helped me get my feet wet in this this space. So I really appreciate your insight and friendship for a long time. Even the single mothers, that's a white noise as well. Yeah, I guess that's what the people are saying. Like even the single mothers, that's a white noise as well. I guess I agree. Jennifer, new. Hey, Jennifer. Sounds like the panel needs to hang out with some new humans. It's not necessarily that they were saying these are their friends. It's just, but because a lot of these people are in like public circles, whether it be YouTube channels, whether it be just general like IG or whatever, just social media channels where they are coming across people who are saying this. And it's usually the bitter people in those spaces that are kind of saying it. So I don't think these people specifically are just living in a echo chamber of misery. So I think it's just that. And lady 747 hand pink waving. Well, just appreciate you coming by, lady. All right, DeAndre, nice to have you. Oh Lord. All right, so that is it for now. I am going to come up with the next one. I appreciate all the insights you guys are doing. You guys are coming with some real good talking points, and I appreciate that. All right, next question. Do you find yourself engaging with more bitter singles or happy couples in your life? And I was going to go to, let's go to Mena. How about that, Mena? Since you're the youngest in charge.
I think that there's more single people now than happier people. So I feel like due to that fact, there is more bitterness. There's more opinions when it comes to relationships. There's more opinions and voices of what is wrong, what is right, what you're seeing. So yeah, and it's unfair and it sucks because like, for example, me, I'm in a relationship, but like a lot of my friends that are single, I don't like to talk about certain stuff just because I don't want to have outside opinions on what's going on in my personal life, even though their intent is good. And they're just trying to look out and be protective and everything. But due to the fact of that, I have seen a little pushback on the people that surround me since I started a new relationship. So I definitely think that there's more single people that feel some type of way opposed to happy couples. And then you have your neutral parties where like they'll hear somebody out and just be neutral about it and give their opinion, but without it being like critical or anything. And then there's other ones like,
Okay.
oh, you just leave him, go party, let's go to the next move, this and that. So yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
How about you, Letitia? Do you engage for single, bitter people or happily married couples?
You said me per se?
Yes.
Oh, I engage with more, I would say, happy people. I deal with some happy couples as well, but I got single friends. They just not bitter.
Okay. Okay. Well, that's
Yeah.
good to know. So
Yeah.
it seems like you surround yourself with a real solid group of people who just are
Yeah.
wanting the same thing, and that's I think is going to be important as we have this discussion. Is just making sure that people understand that if you surround yourself with the people who are talking negatively, that's things going to seep in, and you're going to view the world negatively. So I think if the smart thing to do is consistently surround yourself with people who embody the things that you're trying to get out of life and relationships. So I think that's you're rocking out with it.
Yeah,
Appreciate
and
that.
also just be mindful who you get your advice from, because just because I have happy couples or good single friends, I don't go to them for advice. You know what I mean? Everybody's
Yeah,
not meant
yeah,
to give advice.
yeah. How about you, Sally Sell?
You know what? I actually have a mixture of both. I think there's just a really strong balance with me with that. But I'm going to tell you a little something, just on a little bit of a
Please.
side note, because when I first got divorced, I was right away, because I gravitated to, because of what happened, the trauma, everything that I went through, all the BS that happened, all the nonsense. So I automatically, once I started to kind of get out there where I was trying to meet men, trying to, kind of find myself again, get back, like Stella got her groove back type of thing. All of a sudden, I found myself being like, when I'm talking on the phone, I'm like, oh, you have to go. Oh, so you have someone else waiting. It was that behavior. Like,
Yeah.
oh, you're just like, oh, really? Oh, oh, really? Oh, how many other girls are you talking to? I was
Oh.
literally lashing out that way. And, I would just start talking about my ex and how horrible and this. So I didn't realize that I was actually damaging myself and the possibilities of getting to know a decent man. But thankfully enough, believe it or not, in this situation, I had these men actually almost gauging me and being, you are, you're a beautiful person, da 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 da. Your personality's off the hook, yeah, yeah, yeah. He said, but you're a little jaded. And I didn't realize it. And I'm like, well, no, because you guys are all the same. I already know, because I've already been. And I started to realize, and I started to listen really carefully to what I was saying. And when these guys, said, hey, you shouldn't do that. And then I started sabotaging, that's when I stepped back. So in this case, I had these men actually educating me on the fact of how I was presenting myself. And they're like, you're a beautiful girl, this, and that, but this is like your downfall. This is the very thing. And that's not what I wanted to be. That's not who I wanted to represent. And so guess what? A lot of times we are dealing with a lot of trauma, trauma syndrome type of thing where, we got these traumas, we're not healing correctly or properly. And sometimes what happens is like, if we start to hear wrong advice, it begins to mold and shape us. So now we pick up these lenses, and that's where we're viewing these relationships or one little thing that triggers us, right? It's those triggers sometimes that bring us back to that space that we're not dealing with. And that's what was happening to me at that time. But I was so appreciative of these men actually stepping up to the plate, and being like, hey, girl, don't do that. That's a turn off. Don't do that. And in the process, yes, I kind of messed up some of them. And then I was like, what's wrong with that guy? See, I knew it. He's just like I said. But when I really stepped back, I looked at myself and I'm like, girl, you need to work on yourself. So they were that sounding board for me.
AK, I saw you nodding. What were you agreeing with?
Well, I do agree with her that I mean I kind of appreciate those guys that were like really honest with her, because you know sometimes it can be difficult for people, especially men, like when there are women that you're pursuing, to actually be honest with them. You know, a lot of the times it's like, well, you can tell her enough, but you can't really tell her the full truth. So you know, like her, I kind of appreciate those guys for at least being honest with her, you know.
Mhm.
Okay. All right. Right. So what about you, Will? I kind of got an idea because you kind of surround yourself with people who kind of like are like-minded with congruent values. But what would you say to that question?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I mean, blessed. My parents are still together, never been divorced. So I saw a traditional relationship, feminine to masculine, a great example of what I should aspire to. But yeah, for me, I know what I want. I'm very specific, very intentional of the results I want, and I only surround myself with people who have similar goals and values that I do, and what I'm looking for as far as the results I want. That's why I spend a lot of time with people who are in healthy relationships, the type of relationships that I would want for myself, and ask them their blueprint of what they do that works for them. So, but of course, on my podcast, a lot of bitter single women. I would, I probably interviewed over hundreds, of women on my podcast for dating relationships. I would say 80% of them are bitter and put majority of the blame on the men. Instead of looking at it both ways, it is a two-way street. Relationships is a two-way street. It goes both ways. Yeah, that's what I see for the most part for most people who are bitter or single on my podcast. But for me personally, I always try to surround myself with people that exemplify the things I'm looking forward for myself and for my future.
Cool, cool.
Yeah.
Kasim, I know being that you are in the luxury fashion industry, I think, do you feel like there's a lot more like single people around you as opposed to people who are in like real healthy long-term relationships? And are you and how are they feeling? Are they bitter, happy to be doing what they're doing? Or is it, or am I wrong? Are you around a lot of happy couples who've invested in each other for the long term?
Wow, Jamie. I mean, it's a mixed bag, right? Because in my profession, I happen to see a lot of bitter singles, mainly bitter single women that are having issues, in their relationships. I also see couples that are not happy in their relationships. I see a lot of bickering back and forth between, purchases between what, the man wants to do and the woman wants to do. And you can pretty much see the dynamic of their relationship, like right in front of you. You're listening to them, go back and forth. But in my personal life, it's a little bit more stable. I have a bunch of friends that are in long-term relationships with at least over 6 years. The average is about 6.5 years, I guess. So um, that's the dynamic, that I see in my profession. I happen to be around, women from 23 to like 28. A lot of them look up to me, for guidance when it comes to personal issues. Obviously, as a manager, I have to, kind of coach them as far as what their work is, the work ethic, the goals that they need to do, and where they need to go. But more times than not, that ends up turning into their personal life, because what's happening is whatever's going on in their personal relationship is leaking over to the business side, where they're not making their numbers. They're not making their quotas. So during these conversations, it happens to come out, between the bad relationships that they're having, with their spouses at home.
Yeah, I really feel like when people are constantly around people who are happy, like the energy that you surround yourself with, I think metastasize and grows to and kind of envelops you as well. I think if you have happy energy where people are showing and displaying affection for each other, you're going to kind of like gravitate. That's going to be the energy that kind of absorb into that, and you'll gravitate to people who are promoting that. If you have people who are bitter and just hateful, that'll kind of you'll absorb that into yourself, and then you'll start to gravitate or start to feel comfortable around that. So I really think it's really important to kind of surround yourself with the people like Will said, that kind of emulate the long-term success and relationships that you are looking to have. And if you aren't, try to get away from those people who, and just kind of get away from those people who are constantly the naysayers when it comes to relationships. But I want to bring up my man, Marmelo. He's finally here. Hopefully the boat Wi-Fi holds. Everybody.
Everyone, how do I sound crazy or I'm coming?
You sound good. You sound good. I kick you off in 5 seconds if you start to get crazy. Yeah, I'm just good. Now, me and Sharon have been on many panels together. I really respect this brother. We have some very similar dynamics in our lives, and he's just all around just a smart, insightful cat who says what's on his mind. He's not trying to placate anybody. He's not trying to cater to any specific demographic. He just says it like it is, and I really respect his brother for that. So I appreciate you coming.
I appreciate that.
Thank
you.
All right.
I appreciate those flowers. I received those flowers.
Yeah, you deserve them, brother. All right. So what do you, since you jumped in late, I'll get you to answer this question. Would you say that you engage with more well, you on a podcast, so you have your podcast, and you probably, I can see where this is going. But I'm talking about outside of the podcast space. Do you feel like you engage with more people who are bitter and single, or happily in productive, long-term, fulfilling relationships?
I think in the real world, I deal with happy singles and happy couples. To be honest with you, I do not find myself around bitter people that often. Usually it'd be maybe one outcast in the corner. He's wearing like a hat. He got some really dark eyes. He's looking real emo. His fingernails is painted, right? But most of the time, everybody's normal. They're having a good time. They have good insight, and they're not blaming nobody for being single or anything like that. They just chilling. They actually enjoy being single. They enjoy going outside and going to the clubs and partying and doing all the things that party people do.
So they're not blaming the other person, the other sex, for the fact that they're single. They're just like, it's my choice. I'm enjoying it. They're not saying I'm single because men are X or women are X. They're just enjoying life.
Yeah, absolutely not. Most of the time, man, they're saying all women want their bills paid, though. That's for sure.
And what do you say when they say that?
I laugh because I can't really say nothing about it because I pay all my wife's bills. So
yeah, I know. He's old school. That's where we kind of align. We have that traditional mentality when it comes like bills in the household or what have you. Let me engage with the chat, bring them into the conversation because I want to answer some of the questions they may have. Jennifer says, "Stay around happy couples and happy singles always. You are the company you keep." That's exactly what we're talking about. You are spot on with that, Jennifer. Gray Pill says her experience has the same values with positive women that speak toward men as well. Okay, I agree with that statement. That's all right. What are examples that would define a woman being bitter? Okay, let's dive in as Jennifer. You get a good question to ask. Okay, I think Sally Sell gave kind of an example. She came out of something that was tough and kind of difficult. So it changed her a little bit to where she had a different view of men. I'm gonna go to Leticia. I know you're a life coach. Do you come across any examples of women being bitter that we can use to define what a bitter woman is?
Yeah. I feel like a lot of bitter women carry a lot of baggage with them, and a lot of negative baggage with them, if that makes sense. So just kind of like, you speak on someone like, oh, my friend, she's in a happy relationship. And it's like, well, that's because, you always try to find something negative about something. I think that's a bitter person to me.
Yeah, I agree with that. How about you, Mena?
I think what she said is a female that just finds something wrong in someone else's happiness, I think is a good baseline to put into bitter. Is just somebody that always has something to say. And I mean, the topic is relationships, but it could be general. Like if you have a success story, if you got a promotion, if you got something, and then they're like, well, what if this happens? It's like, no, you don't need to be devil advocate. Like cheer for me, celebrate me. If not, you don't need to be in my circle. So I think that's
like a hater.
Yeah, that falls into like the bitter category.
Yeah. All right. Any of the men want to jump? Go ahead. Go
Really
ahead,
quick,
Shelly.
just one of the things to go along with that, because I just like it brought some memories to me about some stuff that I remember, like when I was trying to, get to know somebody, I would have a friend be like, well, why are you talking to him? And you're thinking like you can go talk to your girlfriends about anything. And I fast realized that I couldn't, because I felt like this pressure, like if I'm talking to him, like you're gonna like, throw beef at me because I'm trying to talk to someone, why are you talking to him? It's always so. I came to a point where I was like hiding, not telling them who I was talking to, because I felt like I was getting heat for it. And then I started to realize, I'm like, where is this coming from? Like, why are they behaving like that way? Why are they acting like that? And it was just like, whoa, why are you doing this? Why are you doing that? Why are you talking to him? You already know he's going to do this. You already know he's going to do that. At the end of the day, and I guess this is maybe a general question as well, why does there have to be so many rules in love? Because that was one of the things that I experienced right when I was getting back into the dating. I was like, don't call him right away. Don't text him right away. He's going to think this, he's going to think that. And I'm like, man, like I'm an 80s baby. Whatever happened to just like, let it flow. Like, write letters. You want to go out with me? Yes or no? In your elementary school, like the simple things. Why can't we go back to that? Like, what's wrong with me telling somebody how I feel about it? Like, you can't do that because he's going to do A, B, C, D. I mean, and I was given the whole alphabet and it was too stressful for me. I'm like, is it really this hard today to be out there in the dating world and all of this? And so when I'm sitting here trying to get back out there, trying to heal myself and, trying to overcome these barriers. But then I have a list of rules as well to go along with why, when, how, and where it becomes so difficult. And I'm like, man, why can't love just be love anymore?
But
Why
that also it also go back to what I said, as far as like, you can't get advice from everybody, even if it's just your friends, you know what I mean? Everybody can't give good advice.
Yeah. Yep. And I want to kind of stay with that a little bit. It's like, so you talked a lot about like changing your way of thinking, changing the way your perception of men and relationships and stuff like that. What are some of the things? How did you do that? What are some of the actions you took to make that change possible?
Me?
And then I want you to answer, Sally Sale, and then I want Letitia. I want to know what you do. Like, how do you help people find the tools to do that as well?
Okay. Honestly, like actually I had the opportunity to step back, like I said, and I started to kind of do a lot of self-evaluation. I started spending a lot of quality time with myself, because at that time it came to a point where I was literally feeling isolated from the world because I was dealing with so much brokenness in my life. You know what I mean? I was like, I was going through anxiety, depression. I was by myself. My kids were gone with my ex for the weekend. And I remember one particular day, I couldn't even get out of bed. I mean, I was on the sofa literally, you guys. And the whole weekend, I couldn't even get up to go get a drink of water. It was that bad. There was nobody there calling me. There was nobody there supporting me. And I realized at that moment, and I mean, at that time, I literally like stood up and I was like, God, if you can at least help me to, even if I got to crawl to the kitchen to get a drink of water, help me do that, because I can't stay here. It was that moment when I felt like I couldn't get up to go get a drink of water. I couldn't do these things anymore, that I wasn't being my true self, is when I realized, man, something has to change here. And that's when I began to really work on myself. I began to listen to motivational, videos. I started, I went to therapy. I started doing things that really helped me. I went to Celebrate Recovery. I don't know if you guys ever heard that. Celebrate Recovery was super awesome for me. It helped me. They literally go all the way down to your childhood, and then they work your way up and realize that a lot of what I was dealing with stemmed from childhood traumas and different things that were still lingering there that I never dealt with, which were now filtering into my adulthood. You know what I mean? Just to go in a little bit deeper, I was also molested, so as a kid. So going through all of these things and bringing these things into my womanhood, and still dealing with more devastation after a divorce, after feeling like everything was literally stripped from me. Going to a 3-bedroom house to staying with my sister in a 1-bedroom house was very devastating. So you don't have but time to think on working on yourself. So at that moment, I started to make more better decisions. I started to get more, because I've always known I was an entrepreneur. I started venturing off on business stuff, and I knew that I just started flourishing. And I'm not where I am today for no reason. I feel like everything that I went through had a purpose. Everything was a stepping stone for me to get to where I'm at today. And so I'm grateful for that. So that's what I had to do. Self-evaluation, my faith, You know, I had to get around people, and I also had to get a support system. And one of my favorite things is, like I said, I need my destiny helpers. There's destiny helpers out there that were like true people that were literally checking on me and calling on me. I started to get kind of do away with so-called friends. You know, that what I've learned is that title has to be earned. So for me, taking that to another level, I don't want friends. I need pillars. I need pillars in my life, people that are literally going to hold the structure of who I am and can handle me at every capacity in my life, no matter where I'm at. So that's what I had to do. I really had to get myself up and shake myself and have these conversations with myself every single day. Words of affirmation, prayer, getting around people that were really going to speak into my spirit, speak into my thoughts, speak into the direction of where I was going in life. And that's what really got me to where I'm at today.
And for you. How about you? What do you got to say add to that, Letitia? You're on mute right now. You're on mute. Yeah, it's all good.
My apologies.
It's all good.
Usually when someone comes to me, usually it is people that's in either married or in a relationship. I always started by like talking to them as individuals for like 10 minutes, just to see like what it is that you want me to get out on the table when you or your wife or you and your girlfriend speak. Because usually they tend to be more honest with me when I'm just one-on-one than they will be in that group, that group setting. So just pushing them to, I pretty much guide them, pushing them to get out what they're trying to say. One thing I always get both of them to see is the roots. How were you raised? Were you raised with your mom, your dad? If they say yes and their parents was married, I always ask them, were they happy? And this is the one, I mean, it don't trip me out, but it trips me out to see people's reaction. Some people be like, no, my parents been married 30 plus years. They're not happy. And I was just like, okay, so is that something that you want? Because that's a norm. And I try to get them to see that, well, the relationship that you're in, is this something you want to be in? Are you, with this person, or are you tolerating this person? Because me personally, I see a lot of people that tolerate one another. They say we did 20 years together, but were we really together, or did we just tolerate each other? So getting them to see that, and also me explaining to them that just because we said in a life coach session, I'm just going to keep it real. The whole time. I'm not pushing you guys. I'm not the person to sit here and be like, you guys are so meant to be, because sometimes people are not meant to be. And I can love you and know that we're not meant to be. So my job is to pretty much get them to see, is it something that you guys can work at? You know what I mean? Is it a communication problem? Or do you guys just tolerate one another? And is it better to, kind of love each other enough to let each other go? It just depends.
Cool. Good stuff. I just want to highlight Will's. He said, avoiding accountability, Jennifer, and blaming men for all their problems. I want to ask Sharon, because were you in agreement with what Letitia said? Did you have some insight that you wanted to interject what she was saying? What's going on?
I don't know. I was perplexed with the words that was being said. So I was trying to navigate those thoughts in my head. I'm not sure if I really have a coherent thought, but with the bitter part, I think what I would consider a bitter human being is somebody that's married and they talk down about marriage. They say, I'm a housewife, but you should go out there and go and work because you never should trust a man. I think that sounds like a bitter human being. Somebody that's been married for 20 years and they say, but we just got through it. We're not really happy. I think that sounds a little strange to me as well. Those are my ideas of when I hear if somebody's bitter or not.
Okay. What about you, AK? Give me an example. Do you hear, what is your example of somebody? Now let's just say men. I'm not going to say women. The women spoke quite a bit on the women. How about, what do you feel like is a bitter man?
So what I usually get from bitter men are, they basically make excuses. Because I'm a no excuse guy for men or for women. Like, my son is just made 18, my daughter's 12. If I keep it real with them, I'm not sugarcoating it for grown people, right? So anytime I have a conversation with a guy, it's like I can tell within 3 minutes if he's the excuse making type, or if he's, hey, what can I do to improve this, right? Because as an adult, anytime there's an issue in your life, like, this is just what I believe personally, 90% of the problems in your life are your fault. Like, either you caused them, or now they're laying in your lap, and it's your your problem to fix, right? So, I mean, if you know you have a problem, even if you didn't cause it, it's now your responsibility. And that's kind of like, you know, being a father, being a leader, being a husband. It's like that's what we deal with. So anytime I see a man and he's just kind of making excuses, whether it be about his job or the way he dresses or the way he talks, you know, or the way he treats his kids or just whatever the case may be, that's when I know like instantly, oh, he's one of those. He's bitter. Like, I mean, I know a bunch of guys like bitter about, you know, their baby mamas. And I'm just like, dude, like you impregnated her 3 times over the course of 10 years. Like, what we, you know, like this is you caused this, right? So, I mean, and those guys I just stay away from because it's like, I'm not about to just waste brain cells kind of talking, but I do see a lot of single men like that. It's some that's married now too and still have like other, you know, children by other women. I don't have to deal with that, but you know, I kind of know they are super, super bitter towards that woman. And then the woman's usually bitter towards them. And I'm just like, man, like the kids are in the middle. Like you had 3 children and you didn't marry this woman. Like you didn't think enough, you know, and for her, I don't get it. I don't understand. But yeah, it's a lot of bitterness out there, man, between married, single. I don't really stay around it in my personal life. Most of the people I know are kind of married friends as well. But I mean, out there in the world, man, I see a lot of single, bitter men, you know, really, especially the young ones, because they don't really understand, like they don't have any experience. And then all it takes is one girl to kind of break his heart. And then that's it after that. Like, he's just like, you know, forget women. Like they're all bad. They're all this, they're all that. Kind of the same dynamic that, you know, the way the women end up when they kind of get mistreated by the first guy. So, yeah.
I don't think having a bad experience is considered bitter. Because when you get to when a young man get his heart broken, it makes him he removes it. That's not him making an excuse. That's him actually having some kind of solution. He removes himself from the dating market. That's not him being bitter. That's him saying, I do not want to get my heart broken again.
Yeah. But how you respond to it, though, is how
that's what I'm saying. Like you removing yourself from the dating market as a young man. If your goals are to have a family, like how are you going to do that if you remove yourself from the dating market? Now, if that's not your goals, but most guys want to have a legacy. They want to have children. They want to have a woman. So if those are your goals, then like, how do you accomplish those? By literally removing yourself from the dating market. How could you get a job if you remove yourself from the job market, if you never search for one?
You know, I think the bitterness comes from, particularly from the men, and it comes from the lack of understanding and acceptance of female nature. I think a lot of men really don't understand how females think and how they operate and how they are biologically and the expectations that they have, you know, from men. I think a lot of them that look at it, when the women start to speak about the things that are going through, men not being able to correlate that to, you know, female nature and what their intrinsic expectations of men, right? Once men have a really good grasp of this expectation, because it's not just, you know, 1 or 2 women, it's pretty much generally all of them have those same type of expectations from men. And when they hear these things from women, it shines a mirror in their face. And most of them don't look up or don't live up to those particular expectations. So instead of those individuals saying, hey, like, you know what, maybe I need to rise to the occasion and step up, because hypergamy is a win-win, right? If you step up, you increase yourself better as men. You begin to get more resources. You get a better sense of who you are and a lot of things that'll help you to be a better person, not only for yourself, but for society. And you will get a really great quality woman from that. If it doesn't work out, you still have those attributes that you built for yourself, and you continuously to be able to grow. So the conversation that I have with a lot of men, it's about, you know, female nature, understanding female nature, and pretty kind of accepting and embracing it. It's like, okay, now that you know how these women think, operate, and do, what are you going to do to coexist and to lead so you can get better outcomes?
I want to go to Will. Since you wrote the question, do you feel like what you said is the same for men as well?
Yeah, when it comes to bitterness, I think it applies to everybody, whether it's man or female. I'm big on accountability, especially for men. And I think I've shared this on the podcast. I think accountability is one of the tenets of masculinity. That I wouldn't consider you a masculine man if you don't take accountability for your life in the decisions that you make for yourself and for your family. I do agree with AK. Yeah, I do believe that most of the problems that we face, I wouldn't say 90%, I would say 100%. If you're a person that takes accountability, you take 100% accountability for all your decisions. And what I do see for a lot of men, and when it comes to bad experiences, we all go through bad experiences. That's called life, right? We all experience bad experiences, but our life is not defined by our bad experiences. It's defined by how we respond to our bad experiences. And I think for me, you only become bitter if you're a victim. If you're a victim, you're going to be bitter. And the reason why you're bitter is because you're not doing anything to change your circumstances. You're dwelling in your bitterness. So there are a lot of people that have bad experiences. A lot of people have gone through extreme hardship and the atrocities of things that happen to bad people. But those people have always found ways to overcome it. And I do see there's a lot of men out there, both men and women, but we're speaking about the men. It's just they're not taking accountability for the decisions. They don't take accountability for the woman they choose. They don't take accountability for the responsibilities. And we can sit here and blame about the hookup culture and all these things, encouraging men to do this and do this, do this. But at the end of the day, like what AK said, you have to look at what do you want out of life? What's your outcome? What are the things that you want out of your life as a man? And it's easy to blame the women, but when you usually take a self-reflection and look within yourself, for the most part of the people who are being bitter, if you look at your decisions and what you do, for the most part, you see that a lot of times when we fail or we make mistakes or we go through bad experiences, it always comes down to a poor decision that we made. And if we look back at it deep enough, we take accountability for it, we can make those changes and improve on it. And then when you start progressing, when you start improving as a man, when life starts to get better, you're not going to be bitter because life is improving. But if you're always stuck in the same circumstances and nothing's changing for you, of course you're going to be bitter because you're doing any kind of accountability, any kind of work to change your circumstances. So it goes for both ways, both men and women, but for the men specifically, especially if we're going to be the leaders, because that's one thing I always hear a lot of men say, I want to be the leader. I want my woman to follow me. I want my woman to submit to me. How are you going to be a leader? How are you going to lead a family if you can't even lead yourself? Right. And you shared that before on the podcast before, Damien, right? That's as a leader, you're accountable. You're accountable for the people you're responsible for. You're accountable for the people that you take care of. But if you can't even take care of yourself, you can't even be responsible for yourself or even accountable for yourself, how are you going to take care of a family or a potential wife or a woman? So I think accountability is just you're only a victim. You're only bitter if you're a victim. But if you take accountability and responsibility for your life and you progress and you improve, then you won't be a victim because you start to get the results. You start to get changes, and you start getting the things that you want out of life. And when your life improves and you progress, you can't be bitter if your life is improving. You're only bitter when you're always still in the exact same position as before.
I got Sharon. Sharon, you're very expressive. What do you got to say to that, Sharon? You cannot hide
it's just I just don't think a lot of young men get a fair shake. Like when I'm hearing the conversation, it doesn't sound like they get a fair shake. If a young man sees that the dating market is not good, is polluted, and is dirty, and he removes himself and he built himself up as a human being, he gets more intelligent, he gets a better job, he gets it, because there's a lot of young men that they living by themselves, they single, they out there doing their thing, they got the cars, they got the income and everything. They remove themselves because they cannot find a woman suitable, at least in this dating market right now, to be able to build a relationship. That's how come they are waiting so long to have children. That's why men are not having children at this point. So they are being accountable. They being so accountable that they are not even blaming women anymore. They just say, you know what? Yeah, women, do your thing. I'm removing myself from this dating market. And I'm gonna go across seas, spend my $40 on a dirty foot woman, and then I come back and I go back to work.
Is that accountability though?
Yeah, that just like that's running from accountability. I was like, hold on.
Exactly.
I'm gonna ask a question, Sharon. What are some of the? Do you feel like the mechanisms that really would keep men from falling into bitterness are readily available, and are they accepted and appreciated by other men? Because a lot of the things that women do to avoid bitterness, they talk to each other, they engage, they cry, they commiserate with other women, they have they just kind of really dive deep into their emotions related around whatever trauma might have left them and kind of start to lead them down a path of bitterness. Do you feel like what mechanisms are accepted by men? Those things generally, if men do that, they're looked at a certain kind of way. If a man said, you know, I'm gonna go to my boy house and I just need a hug from my brother just to tell me things are gonna be all right, dudes be like, dude, what's wrong with you? You know, do you feel like the mechanisms that men have that could possibly lead them out of, keep them out of bitterness, are accepted? Because what you just said was all they need to get away and just become all this shit. What if they don't become all this shit? What if they don't get smarter? What if they don't make more money? What if they don't get in shape or what have you? What happens to them? They just gotta just be what, they just got to be bitter for the rest of their lives. Most men don't do all of those things. You find a select few that may have it the wherewithal to do all those things, but a lot of them that do it, they do it for revenge. They want to get back at the women. So a lot of them, they get in these positions and then they treat women bad because they got treated bad. They're like, now all the women want me and I'm gonna make them feel like how they made me feel because they didn't deal with the underlying trauma in the first place. So go ahead.
Can I just add in?
Yeah, whatever.
I was just gonna say, Sharon, are you talking about do you feel like your statement was towards majority of men or just like maybe a group of men?
I think it's towards the majority of young men. And when I say young men, I think 30 and under. Yeah, I think the men that is 30 and under, they having a problem finding women that generally like them. They like them for if they have a car, they have a good job, they have money, but finding somebody that actually generally just like them for being who they are as a person, they having a difficult time with that.
I think I disagree with that because I think it's way easier for a man to find a woman, any woman at that, than a woman to find, you know, a man who want to lead, a man who wants to provide, and just a good man all around. You know what I mean? Like sometimes I feel like I even put up a question on Instagram and I said, you know, hey, men, would you prefer your woman to be a stay-at-home wife and she takes care of the kids, et cetera, or do you want your wife to work? And all but one said, I need her ass to work. You know
right,
mean?
because the reason why most young men are saying that, because from what they've seen, women that did stay home, they're not appreciative of their man. Taking and provide for them. They say they feel like they need freedom. They feel like they was slave to the household. Like, you know, we hear Tia Mowry saying that I need to make myself happy. I was worried about him, doctor's notes, kids, taking them to school, everything that the woman that is being so-called taken care of, they all sound bitter. And so now men's like, I do not want to make you bitter, because if I start picking up and I start cleaning and I cooking, and then guess what? Now I'm just not a man anymore, because you want to shame me into paying all the bills. And men, these young men are not being shamed into paying the bills anymore.
I just have a question though, like what, as far as what you're saying, like what percentage, like I'm curious to find out the percentage, because I don't think it's as big of a margin as you're maybe saying that it is. You know, I really don't. I honestly don't think so.
So I think it's a bit, I think it's 51% or greater of the young men, 30 and under, they feel this way. They feel like, no, we are going to split everything 50-50 because you do not appreciate a man that is taking care of 100% of the bills.
I feel like Kevin Samuels have messed up a lot of that 30 and under generation. I think because when he was explaining high value men, they were confused. They thought they were in that range of high value men and he wasn't talking about them. I really think he messed a lot of them up.
Sharon, let me interject. So do you think it says women don't appreciate it, or is it a fact that I'm just, and this is a question to play devil's advocate, do you feel like they haven't seen it enough because that hasn't been a behavior that was probably modeled for them, where they were in a household where the men was paying half the bills, their mama was out there working, so they don't expect that a man who says they're going to do that is going to really do that. And if they do it, I think it might just be for the short term, maybe while they have kids, maybe, you know, early on. But do you feel like it's just like they just don't trust it enough because they haven't seen it working long term?
I think most young men that see they mother work and work hard, that's what gives them the motivation to pay all the bills. They want to take their mother out of the working force. They also want to take their woman out the working force. That's what gives them the drive to say, I'm going to make sure I take care of her, because I seen how stressful it was for my mother, and I couldn't do nothing about it when I was little. And now that I'm old enough to actually do something about it, I'm going to take care of my mother and my wife and my children. That's what usually happens with
I don't know if I agree with that with Sharon, but I'm gonna let AK jump in there because I saw him saying something. He said, I'm nodding his head.
I kind of agree with it though. I mean, I grew up with a single mom, and I knew how hard it was for her, but I will say that even though it was hard for her, I mean, I didn't really know what nurturing was until I met my wife. Like, I didn't know what it was to be around like a soft woman that was feminine. I didn't know what that was, and then I was like, wow, like, was this supposed to be like? I'm like, yeah, I'm never letting this go. But as far as like, I'd say the difference between, the men and the women, like who can find who, I think the majority of men are single, right? I mean, the majority of men are single, and childless, by the way. So I think that, he is right. I mean, I think it's easier for, I think in the beginning, women have all of the leverage, right? They have all of the leverage because basically they control sex and guys want sex. So women have all of the leverage in the beginning. And then later on, kind of, once guys get past that 30-year-old mark, that's when they have the leverage. It's difficult though, because if you wait so late, I mean, I got friends that are like 35, 36, 37, don't have kids. And they're like kind of still, and now I'm pushing them towards that, but I'm like, dude, like, you're going to be 50 with a 5-year-old. Like, that might suck for real, like, but for the women, it's like, you don't have that though. Like, you don't have that much time. You can't wait until you 30 years old to start trying to be a wife, or, being wifey material, or kind of doing your own thing with your career. It's like, you can't wait that long. You don't, which is what I preach to my daughter. Like, you can't wait that long. If you wait that long, more than likely you'll be out of luck as a woman.
But don't you feel like preaching that to your daughter is going to make her be in a state of, okay, I got to find a man, I got to find a man, I got to find a man, and that's how they end up with the wrong men?
No, because she can't find a man. She has to be chosen.
No, I agree with that. But what I'm sitting there saying is, if you're putting the pressure on her, that's like telling a woman, like, well, when you gonna have a kid? Like, I know I got friends who don't have kids. They want to have kids, but at the same time, they're making the choice not to just have a kid with anybody, because at that point, they're not taking their accountability by coming across a man that wasn't for them. You know what I mean? Right. I'm not gonna say a bad man. I'm just gonna say a man who wasn't for them. You know what I mean? So they can make the decision and be like, hey, well, I'm going to have a kid with you because, I'm 30 creeping up on me, and, I just need to get it knocked out. But it's just like, at the end of the day, now you're giving that child, you knew from jump, me and you weren't a match, and we brought a child into this world. Now this child has to grow up in a single parent household, or, I'm bringing in a stepdad and you bringing in a stepmom. And it's just kind of like, it's unfair to a child. And for someone who grew up in that, sometimes people step back and be like, okay, I want to do it right. You know what I mean? Look at Ashanti and Nelly. You know what I mean? I don't know their life, but what I'm saying, they're saying is she's 40 years old with a kid, and everybody, of course, looked like, they were happy for the couple wise. But I think the flip side to it is just like, oh man, she is 40. You know what I mean? That could be intimidating.
And I think that is the problem right there. Like, that is what people are preaching to young women, to wait. They are preaching to wait. And this is why young men cannot find suitable women, because they tell them, go ahead and have your whole phase, go live your life, girl, get your career, go date, don't take nothing serious, wait and wait and wait. And then a young man, he's out there grinding, he's doing his thing, and he's attempting to look for a solid woman, but everybody's telling those women to wait. So they can't find a mate.
Agreed.
Okay, question for Sharon.
Go ahead.
Yeah, because you said that a lot of men today, young men, find it hard to find a woman. But how are they going to find a woman if they remove themselves from the dating market?
Because a lot of men tell these young men that they need accountability. So now they following y'all words. They saying, I'm not going to be dating the Instagram girl. I'm not going to be dating the chick that got her this and that. And so they remove themselves and they go ahead and grind. They go into the gym. They go into that work office. They put in the hours. They make them. I was with two young. They was both under 30 millionaires, and they said they cannot find nobody, and they got everything: the crib, the cars, and the money, and they can't find nobody.
But Kasim, are you seeing that? I want to ask. I'm sorry. Well, go ahead, finish your question, brother.
No, I understand where Sharon is coming from, but I think what a lot of guys are struggling with, Sharon, right? My mom, I apologize. Is they're working on. I think that if you want to be good at something, you have to practice it. So I do agree with the going to the gym, improving your finances, because that makes you attractive to women. But at the end of the day, you still have to deal with women and understand how to deal with them once you attract them. So I think by removing yourself in the dating market, you can become more attractive to women. But then when they come into your life, they don't know how to maintain a relationship with a woman because they remove themselves from the dating market. And I think that's what's missing in the conversation when it comes in with the dating pill, is that in the red pill, the manosphere, whatever space online, like they're telling them the information how to be more attractive.
They will just go like this.
Information how to maintain a relationship with a woman. That's where I see that the misconnect is.
Ask these 3 women, how often do they tell young women to go ahead and find a man, lock him down, and get him to marry you? Ask those 3 women that, and then we will have this conversation honestly. We already know, I can't see the names, but the doctor, she already said, like, kind of wait. She already kind of suggested that in a sense. But ask all the women, how do they tell the young women that's around them about men?
Okay, let's go. We're gonna go to Mena. I want Mena to jump in here. Mena, all right. Let's ask you first.
I think all you guys have very fair viewpoints. I am a big believer in timing. What's meant for you will be for you. What is destined for you will not miss you. Regardless, you can postpone it, you can prolong it. What is designed for you will come about how it needs to come about. So for me, I didn't go looking for my boyfriend. It just happened. We actually went to the same high school. He ended up joining the military. Like, life happened and we reconnected. So again, I don't think it's wrong to tell somebody to wait. And I don't think it's wrong to push somebody if they're on a time crunch to get married. It's what's suitable for that person who you're speaking to. For example, I have friends that are driven in their career and they have different goals and ambition and drive due to their own circumstances. Some want to get a man and want to get married. I think it just really depends on the person that you're talking to and what they see for their future. I don't think there's a wrong or right way to seek or receive what is meant to happen for you. Does that make sense what I'm saying? So that's my belief on that. Is I feel like if it's meant to be, it will be. I don't believe in forcing anything that shouldn't be forced. I know I have an 8-year-old, she made some very valid points. Doctor made some very valid points on if you could have done things differently and picked a better partner, you should have, instead of rushing into something, because then the child gets affected by it. Once you start adding more heads into your life that you have to take care of and you have to think about, there's more room for error. So I do think you have to be more calculated. I do think you have to be more accountable. I think you have to be more aware. And I don't think jumping into something or pushing something because you're on a time crunch is the right way to go about life. If you're blessed enough, you get like 100 years to figure out what is meant for you. So, and that's if you're blessed. Some people, their life gets cut short. So I don't believe in pushing or rushing into something, because that's how shit hits the fan. That's how, a lot of things go left, and then you get trauma responses, and you get people that are hurt, and then you get people that are angry, you get people that are bitter, because there's so many he says you have to do this now. If you don't, nobody's going to want you at 30. I've heard that before, that if you don't have a kid now, if you don't get married now, like, you're on a time crunch. Nobody's going to want you at 40 or 60. And I don't believe that. I know couples that they're old, they're in their 70s, and they didn't meet their person till they were in that age, and I don't believe it.
Mena, but I can see AK and Sharon. Just let me just kind of qualify something that I know that they're both thinking. It's not that nobody's going to want you, but it's just like the optimum thing in order to build a relationship is younger. And to have like, it's family and stuff like that. A lot of those people who meet people later on, they've already done that. They've had the relationship, they've had the kids, and like they're divorced. And now they're just waiting up for a life party to carry on with the rest of their life. But if somebody was looking to do it from day one and like, okay, I want to marry you, have children, build a life or what have you, it's optimum to have the person that's younger, childless, in order to do that. That's what.
And also, bring this back to me, D, because I'm sitting on like fire right now.
You're fire.
I want to specify. I want to clarify something. I'm not saying you have to wait. Like if you find somebody that's young, go for it. But what I'm sitting here saying is, don't just pick anybody because you're so anxious to have somebody. That's how you jump in relationships where you're sitting here saying, yeah, we've been together 20 years, but you see that y'all tolerate one another. So what I'm saying is don't set your standards low. And I don't mean money and all that type of stuff. What I'm sitting here saying is I have a friend, she's like, hey, my man has to, be in church. You know what I mean? I need a God-fearing man. So if you feel this person like, well, I don't even believe in God. And let's just say you're going to say, hey, I'm going to pray for him. You know what I mean? And see if that take a little time to change him. But at the end of the day, I'm not going to go into this knowing that you don't believe in God or knowing you don't want to have kids. That I feel like you're setting yourself up for failure.
All right.
I want
to get Kasim.
Go ahead and speak on it.
No. I want to get Kasim in here because Kasim hasn't said something in a while. He usually has some real salient points. So go ahead, Kasim. What is your thoughts on where the going?
I'm a little bit more structured because in my profession I allow people, because I have Zoom calls, so I allow people to like speak and hear them out. What I see with today's young men, they don't have the right social skills, man. They're awkward. They don't know how to have a conversation with women. They don't have enough confidence to even go up and speak, to women. And the way that you combat that is practice. You get out there, you get outside, get away from computers, and you go outside and you start engaging with people and you learn how to build your social skills. You can have all the money in the world. You can have the best physique. You can have the stylish clothes, right? But how many times have women said like, wow, he was perfect until he opened his mouth, right? So I think I try to, encourage men to be more social, to develop those social skills so that therefore when they meet women, they have a better chance on finding the one that they want, but also the one that's looking for them can kind of resonate with them a little bit more. I'm a big believer in having a plethora of knowledge, like a little tool bag. I believe in, being very nice in pop culture, like in travel, a little bit world things. So no matter where the conversation is going, you have something to add to it and to input. And a lot of men, they don't have that. And I don't feel sorry for them, right? I'm not going to coddle them. I'm not going to say, oh, woe is me too. I'm like, no, get out there, get in the game and figure it out. And I think once we start looking at it from that particular vantage point, it's saying like, hey, yes, he chose you to go out on the date, right? So obviously there were certain qualifiers that you met. Now it gets a little bit more personal. Now she's looking to see exactly how much farsight you have, how much provisioning that you could possibly do for her, not just financially, but also when it comes to resources and security and things of that nature. If you don't have those things or have not developed those things, she's not going to pretty much want you. And this is the same exact thing when I went to about going back to female nature and what they expect. Not just some of them, but the majority of them, right? So it's like, what are you going to do to get yourself in a better situation so that when that woman is getting herself ready and she's ready to deal with a particular man, are you going to be that man that she chooses? And I think this is where we have to start from. We have to be like, listen, there are certain things that you have to attain and get. But first of all, you got to work on your social skills, fam. You got to work on that. So I don't give these young dudes no crutch. I'm not coddling. I'm not pampering. Get in the game and get your mouthpiece and your social skills up. Period.
I just want I'm gonna let you jump back in there, Will, because I interrupted you from saying your point. But I just want to say this. Will and I, when I was on his podcast, that something similar came up, and shout out to Uncle Jeffrey. He was on Hamp's This Might Be Risky's podcast, and he said something that really resonated with me. He was like, if men don't have to develop as much as they think they do, he's like, because confidence, chivalry, and God dang it, what was the last
humor.
And humor. Confidence and humor is women's kryptonite. And he said that's why women stay away from ugly men, because if he's confident, humorous, and has chivalry, they may end up with half ugly babies. So it's just like if men feel like if they work on developing those things, those characteristics, a lot of times it can help them get a lot further than money, a physique, or anything else. So let me let Will finish his point, because I interrupted him. Go ahead, Will.
No. I just wanted to add on to what Kasim was saying, and I do agree with him. I think there was a study I was reading online. If I happen to find out, post it in the live chat. But it said men between the age of 18 to 25, almost 50% of them have never approached a woman in their life. So I do agree that the only way you can get better with dealing with women is you have to go out there and experience it and go through your ups and downs and go through your failures and get rejected. That's the only way we learn. So we can learn from our failures, understand, okay, this woman rejected me. What did I do to make sure next time when I approach a woman so I can improve, so that way I don't get the same amount of rejection? There's always been the strategy since the beginning of time, as men have always approached women. It's also part of our masculine nature to be assertive, to go out there and be confident. And women are attracted to men who are very assertive and confident to approach them. And also, I think a lot of men today, the young men, they're living vicariously online through the lives of other men. And they're not getting that practical experience online. So, and I think a lot of the statistics that we often look, I'm a big statistic guy. I'm very big on statistics. I understand analytics, but at the same time, I'm also about practical experience as well. But I think a lot of times when a lot of men hear these statistics, and I'm not trying to diminish the statistics, but I think they have the analysis by paralysis. They're afraid. They're afraid to go out there, and I don't believe in living your life on fear. Look, if you want to remove yourself from the dating market because you want to take the time to self-improve, and that's your motivation, that's your incentive to improve, that's fine. But if you're removing yourself from the dating market because you're afraid of women, you're afraid to go out there, and you're living your life that way, anybody who lives their life on fear, you're not gonna get the results you want, because you actively, that's life. Life is about rejection, it's suffering, it's pain, it's failure. Things are gonna happen to you, but you can't let that fear go out to the real world and try and attempt to try and put in that work. And I think where I see most of the guys I talk to, especially my podcast and a live chat, and also I'm not putting this on women, on men as well, but also on women. They always complain about the things they see online. Okay, perfect. I understand that. When's the last time you went on a date? When's the last time you approached a woman? When's the last time you had a relationship with a woman? And you'd be dumbfounded by the answer on months, years, or never. So you can't improve on something if you actually don't go out there and participate and do it. And I do agree. If you want to remove yourself, to take some time to self-improve, get the right mentorship, get the right skills, that's fine. But if your motivation for removing yourself because you're just afraid to approach a woman, you're just afraid to go out there and be in a relationship with a woman, then how are you going to learn all the things that you're supposed to learn as a man when you fail? That's the only way we can self-improve. You're not just gonna go into a relationship with a woman and actually know everything how to deal with that relationship unless you've gone through the hardship and failures as a man. That's all. Every single man on this panel, the only way we understand women is because of things that we did wrong, right? But if men don't go through that process, how are you going to learn to self-improve to understand women in general?
All right. I want to get
Sharon is
Sharon.
I'm sorry. And Sharon is shaking his face. I'm just saying, Sharon, I'm sure you have experiences with women, but there's a lot of things under your understanding and your depth of understanding women has come from your failures with women in the past, and that's how you self-improve to understand them a lot better.
I want AK to jump in, then Sharon.
Men are not doing that no more. Men are
Okay.
doing that. Men are not doing that no more.
Okay, AK, my man.
So the thing I agree with that a lot of the young men, they don't necessarily know how to approach women, or they may be kind of awkward here or there. But my issue with that is when it comes to the women, why do, like, literally the average woman is like a 5, probably like a 5 or a 6. Like the average woman, her ego is so overinflated that the average guy, he can't even speak to the average woman. She won't even allow it. I mean, think, because if you don't have the money or the flash, if you don't have these things, you don't look like you have your stuff put together, dude, you're not even getting a conversation. I don't care how funny you are. And your charisma or your muscles might get you in the door, but it's not going to get you that far, because these women are expecting way too much. And you telling me that I'm supposed to tell, so my son is 18 now. I'm supposed to tell my 18-year-old son, hey, go out here and try to gain these experiences and get rejected from these women that probably won't be your wife anyway. It's like, no, I'm not doing that. I'm telling him, look, you focus on what you have to do right now. You make sure you build yourself up right now. Now, I'm not saying that you can't entertain women or you can't have female relationships. I'm not saying that at all. But as far as serious relationships go, it's like, why would he do that? Especially if the woman isn't worthy. Now, I do let him know, like, hey, even if you so-called remove yourself, make sure that you're open to what you may find, because sometimes we find things even when we aren't looking for them, right? But the simple fact that the average woman between the age of 18 and 25 is just plummeted. I mean, the value of them has plummeted because of the feminist movement, the sexual liberation movement, all of that stuff. So you think all of these women are out here, man. Like, you got 18-year-old, 19-year-old girls out here on OnlyFans with 50,000 naked bikini pictures on Instagram. Like, no young man wants that. Like, why would you want that for, your children to see his mom like that? So, I mean, what do you do? What advice do you give them when you say, hey, I know that you've been building yourself up for a few years, and now it's time for you to try to find a wife, and every woman that you find is a 25, 28-year-old, she been out there, she done had 15 relationships, 15 bad relationships, all this baggage and trauma. Most of them will have at least 1 or 2 kids. By that point, it's like, what do you tell that guy? How, like, where do
you tell him to keep grinding? I have a 27-year-old, my friend. He's been married for 18 months. The same conversation that you had with your 18-year-old, I had with my 25-year-old. And you know what I told him? I said, you know what, Elijah? There's a woman out there for you, but first you got to get yourself together. You got to get your priorities right. You got to get your vision right, and you got to be able to articulate that vision and that goal. Once you are able to do that, certain women are going to come your way, and this is where your vetting process comes in, right? Not every woman that you meet or you run into is going to be the right one for you. But I taught you the certain things to look for, so that therefore, when you're in that situation, you know what qualities to look for. And he's been married for 18 months now. My second son is 25 years old. I told him the same thing. He's just about to graduate out of dentist school. I said, you know what, Stephen? You're in a pretty good position in your life right now, where you're about to become a very successful dentist in your particular profession. And I'm sure that you probably met 1 or 2 of these girls in your school or in your class that has good morals and a good value and a good family. If you've been spending time with her, bring her over. Let me meet her and let me talk with her. Right? I have another son that just turned 23. I told him the same exact thing. So it's not like these women are not out here. They are out here. And they have certain standards and qualifications for their man, just like the men has for the women. But in order for you to see it, you got to put yourself out there in the game. I would never discourage my sons not to go out there and be part of the game and work their mouthpiece and work on themselves. I don't believe that every woman's running. Give me 1 second. I'm about to land this. I don't believe that there are all awful women out here, because I happen to find one. Actually, I have 3 great, amazing women in my life. My oldest son has a great woman and his wife. My second son is looking for a really nice woman, and my third son. So I think it's a matter of perspective, right? You got to breathe life into these situations and tell them exactly what to look for.
Yeah. Let me just say something. Let me jump in and I'll go to Sally after this. The thing is about what the women that you were describing, AK, tend to congregate together. So it's not like they don't have the women who is like you don't find like the outlier where it's like, you know, 5 girls who just like the way you described behaving and moving through the world like you described, and the one good one it's like they all tend to congregate. You got to remove yourself from places where people like that, where those type of women congregate in order to be successful. Like if all these, it's funny because every time I'm on panels and what you call it, and I'm hearing dudes talking about meeting club, it's never in a place where people are doing something that's moving them forward. It's always productive. It's like they go to the club, they go to a bar, you know, maybe they go to like some kind of sports situation or whatever, or it's never like, oh, you know, I just met this woman, she was coming out of whatever, or she was going to lunch and I saw that she was a whatever, like a teacher or something like that, or what have you, and I approached her. You always find them like congregating. It's like, oh, like I went to the club to find this chick, and all the women at the club are this, and all the women, they want the dudes, they want the baller and stuff like that. And a lot of examples guys give are the women who congregate together. We need to figure out, okay, where do the women who are not in those circles hang? And if we're literally looking for wives, that's where you need to go. You know, Sharon, go ahead. I mean, Sally, go ahead. Then Sharon.
You know, I'm just kind of taking some notes, and I've just kind of been listening to a lot of what has been said in the last few minutes. And one of the things that has stuck out to me is rejection. Not everybody has learned how to deal with rejection. And I think that that's where a lot of these problems stem from us. Oh, we're scared. We're going to get rejected. I mean, to me, I did have a problem, like right when everything happened, I had a problem with rejection. And it wasn't until someone pointed it out. I think it was my sister. She's like, you have a problem with rejection, you know, and you got to work on that. And as I went further in life, I started to understand that rejection only means redirection. And a lot of us are afraid to get rejected. What happened to, it's okay to be disappointed, because I've learned that my disappointments have become a springboard to propel me forward. And I think if it's just the way I think that you look at it, like I've liked guys a lot, you know, and I've been there and it didn't work out. And I'm sitting here like, well, I'm this and I'm that. And, you know, he's missing out. No, he's not, because I just wasn't for him, and it's okay. And I just had to learn that. I had to learn to be like, I wasn't for him, and it's okay. You know, we had that time, we shared that time. I grew, whatever I needed, I got from him at that moment. But that didn't like completely stir me out of the game. You know, it was like, okay, my person just hasn't come yet. And I think the problem is that we as a society, I think in general, nobody wants to be rejected. Come on. I know none of us on here want to be rejected. It doesn't feel good. It's not fun. But I have learned that rejection, again, is redirection. It has made me strong. It's made me who I am today. It has built character. Disappointment has only opened up other doors of opportunities in who I am right now. And again, for me, going back, I'm not sure. I think it was, I forgot who it was. I think it was Bryce or whatever, or that said something about like, you know, for me, I'm not going to just, I've been working on myself way too long to just give access to anybody. You know, I've learned some things about myself. You know, I talk to every guy. I'm cool. I'm telling you, I am a cool person. I'm not one of those snooty women. I talk to everybody. However, not every person is for me. And I don't give access to just everybody. And I've had to learn that. And it's okay. I think that what I've also learned is to compartmentalize situations and people. You know, this person goes here, this person goes here, and this person goes there. And I'm learning how to gauge that. If I'm rejected, I'm rejected. But I'm learning to take the hit. But you know what? It's like I played basketball. I was a point guard. You know, I sprained my ankle one year, and I love basketball, right? And I'm like, you know what? I could either give up, cry, you know, I did everything to try to get back in the game. You know, I didn't let that stop me from pursuing what I needed to do in life. It's the same thing. We all know here we all want love. Eventually we want to find the right person. We want to be happy. So we don't stop. I think if we better learn how to navigate rejection, I think that, and teach that to our young people. Like I tell that to my daughter, you know, she's gone through disappointments, all 3 of them. And I'll sit there and be like, you know what? He just wasn't for you, you know, and it's okay. But what was your takeaway? What did you learn from it? Take it to the next level, take it to the next person, and it's okay. So I think that's my thing that I keep hearing. Like, everyone's so afraid to just live. Stop being afraid to live. Stop being afraid of being disappointed. Stop being afraid of rejection. It's part of life. It's part of it. Creates character, and it creates amazing skill sets and tools for us to navigate in life. So those are the things that I try to teach my kids.
All right, Sharon, release the Kraken.
I don't think these
Sharon
young
ain't
men.
got no Kraken.
Release
I don't
the
think these
Kraken.
young men.
No, he doesn't. No.
Scared. They're not scared of rejection, and I can't believe I'm actually on this side of it. But I think it's because I've been speaking to a lot more younger men, and I'm starting to actually get an understanding where they're coming from, because it's starting to be the optics is, you can't ignore the way how these women are acting in these streets. The problem is everybody want young men to move a certain way and build and do these things, and nobody's telling the young women to do the same.
Facts.
What they are not, the things that Sally Seller is talking about, she learned that in her later years. We need to teach the young women that now. They need to be doing that from 18 to 25, not from 30 to, into their later years, because this is when they find out that, oh shit, I was doing everything wrong. And this is the problem. We are telling them, I don't care how many dirty hoes is out there, you gonna find that one clean one, and eventually you'll find it. You keep just going out there and you keep cleaning these women up, and eventually you'll find that good wholesome.
Sharon, can I ask you a question, sir?
They're not with it anymore.
Sharon,
let him Kasim, let him finish.
It's okay. It's okay. I know Kasim. Me and Kasim.
Yeah,
you don't mean no disrespect. Yeah. Go ahead, Kasim. You could jump in. You could interject, Kasim. Go ahead.
You have amazing daughters in your life.
Mm-hmm.
What would you tell your daughters about men? But these very same men that we talk about here, what would you, as a father of girls, what would you tell your daughters how to be?
I'll tell them to go find a husband in college. That's what I'll tell them to do. Go find a husband in the library. I would go tell them to go find a husband at the marathon race. I'll tell them to go find a husband at the gym. All these places where women are scared to actually talk to men, because women are, when they at the gym, they usually are the most defensive there. They don't want nobody to talk to them there. They don't want nobody to talk to them when they're going to get coffee, because they like, I don't even look good. Why are you talking to me? This is what they would say. If they got sweatpants on, it's like, I don't even know why you even trying to holler at me, because I'm not even dolled up. Even though the men is looking at you in your natural state, and they think that you are beautiful. They see you with no makeup on, your hair in a messy bun and sweatpants, and he actually think you look good. You would turn that man down, and then you would say, these men don't know how to holler at girls. No, the problem is, in this day and age, it is a very thin line between creepy and flirting, and we do not know what it is. The same man that is, he would say hello, you would say he creepy, and then the next woman say, oh, I appreciate him saying hello.
Because it's based on how she feels.
Attraction.
It don't got nothing to do with attraction. It got everything. It got everything to do how that woman feel, how she's attractive that day, not if she's actually attractive.
No. I'm saying if she's attracted to the man who's doing it.
No, it's not. It don't got nothing to do with the man. It's all about, if she feel like she was dolled up, if she looks good, then she's going to accept somebody to say, hello, how you doing? You look good and beautiful today. But if she's not dolled up, she'll be like, I don't know.
All right. Before you jump in there, Letitia, Mena, you stay in the gym. Is he spitting facts?
I hear where he's coming from, because I've seen it in some women. I've seen it, and I do stay in the gym. I go 5 days a week. Like, my gym, that's a routine. What you said, Damien, is accurate also. If the woman finds that person attractive, is another factor. But also another thing is, what I have noticed, a lot of the women that go to the gym are overcoming something. And 9 times out of 10, they're going there, they don't want to be bothered. Like me, I don't want to be bothered at all. I'm going there to work out. I'm going there to lift as heavy as I possibly can, just like the dudes. Like, I'm not trying to get hit on at the gym.
Can I stop you right there one time, Mena? Hey, Kasim, what would you say to Mena? Because now this is real proof, right? This is somebody that's giving you real proof. This is a place where it is a positive place. This is a place where people should be interacting and building positive relationships, because that is a place of building. and healing. She is going through a healing process. But guess what happens? When women are going through a healing process, they block everybody out. And then they say it's no good men there. Now, what advice would you give somebody like Mena and other women, not necessarily Mena, but women that's gone through this healing process that is rejected men that is going through the same healing process?
It's not.
I would say, wait a minute. I would say continue to work on yourself when you're at that gym, right? I understand that when people go to the gym, some individuals are really dedicated to their workout and doing exactly what they have to do. And some individuals are there for a meat market. You're only there for like what, 45 minutes to an hour out of your whole entire day. Yo, fam, if you really want to get to know me, why not find out if I go to the juice bar across the street after I get finished my workout? You know, find out what other things that I might be into, or if there's a particular park that I'm at that I might be running around. I think that's a better opportunity, right, to approach these women. I think sometimes men, they don't think
Mena,
about the situation and surroundings.
Mena will let you know. She will let you know when that man approaches her in the gym. Doesn't matter if it's after her workout, before her workout, pre-workout. He said, "I've been watching you. I seen you go to the juice bar." She's gonna be like, "You been watching me?"
Stalker.
No, that's not
what she's
true.
gonna say.
Well, let her answer. Let her answer.
You've been
Let her
looking too many.
Let Mena answer. Let Mena answer.
So I've had guys approach me, like it's been something as simple as are you using that machine, and they use that as like a gateway to conversation. I conversate, but I can't be completely in that conversation because I'm there to do a job.
She locked in.
I'm locked in, like I'm there to do something. But if me and that person bump into each other if we're leaving simultaneously, then I wouldn't mind having a conversation. But when I'm putting in my work, that's what I'm there to do. I'm there to put in work. And I do see a lot of women like that. And they're even like that towards other women. Like there's some women that they look freaking amazing. I'm like, yo, what workout are you doing? Like, is that natural? Because you look great. They're locked in. They don't have time to have that conversation or tell you a couple pointers. They don't have that time. But
right. I think timing is key.
There are those people that are like locked in, but then you do get those type of females that like come in with like their makeup on full 100. I don't know how they do it. God bless their soul, but I personally can't do it. I look like Chewbacca had a baby when I go to the gym. So like, I mean, but there is
again.
Some women,
I want to jump in right there again, man. I want to say that.
That would be the perfect example. Those are the type of women that you could, I guess, approach, and they would be more receptive, opposed to somebody that like I when I go to the gym, I look like a dude. I don't be wearing no like sports bras, nothing. I headphones on, like I'm Eminem and that shit. Like,
no, Sharon's about to jump through the screen, and then you say what you said. Like,
you know what? It sounds like men need to learn social cues. Men need to learn social cues and body behavior.
Two people talking at the same time. Nobody can hear two people at the same time. So let's go, Sharon, and then you will finish it out, Kasim.
The reason why I want to jump through the screen is because I just said it not too long ago. She feels like she looks like Chewbacca, and that's why she would not allow any man to have a conversation with, because she feels that way, not because that man be looking at her being determined, focused. He be looking at her like she's the most beautiful thing in the world because she's in her zone, sweating and pumping it out. Because men do not look at women with makeup and all these things as beautiful. They look at your natural. This is what I'm going to wake up next to. That is what's beautiful.
Hold on.
Think of themselves as
hold on. Let my show. Let me say this. What are you talking about, Sharon? They're looking at ass. They're looking at a face. They're looking at they're looking at that ass look good. I want to see that ass in other way. They're not saying, oh my God, she's in her natural state. They're like, damn, look at that ass in them tight ass shorts. I want to see it without the tight. I basically can see it, what it would look like. I want to just make sure if my imagination matches the real thing. It ain't looking at. I tell you why you're wrong. I
tell you why you're wrong. Because Mena just said she's not going there dolled up like those other women. She said she's going there with sweatpants and she's going there to work out. Most women that is focused like what she is saying, they do not.
Have you seen sweatpants nowadays? Have you seen the pants that women wear to the gym nowadays?
I'm just saying, Mena says it
what are you
herself.
saying?
She said, what I'm saying is that Mena said it herself. She do not feel that she looks sexy when she works out. She said she looks like
No.
Chewbacca.
I think you misunderstood. I think she was trying to say when I go to the gym,
Chewbacca is what
I'm
she
so
said.
locked in that I'm not trying to have a conversation.
I mean, she said she looked like a dude.
It has nothing to do with how I look. Like I said, it has nothing to do with that. I mean, but some women could, some women could feel some type of way. Like, he said, like, it depends, like social cues. Like you can peep it. Like you can see which ones want the attention. You can see the ones that are just there to work out. Like it has nothing to do with me looking like, I look like Chewbacca had a baby. I ain't gonna hide it.
All right,
but
hold on. Go ahead, man. Hold on. I just want to give the chat love because we've been ignoring the chat and they've been showing a lot of love in the chat. First, I want to shout out to Lux. I've been on a panel with Lux. I think I was on your panel, Sharon, with Lux before. She's been showing a lot of love. Appreciate you coming through, Lux. Apex, that's my dog. I know who he is. But congratulations on all the good things that's been happening for you, man. I really, you deserve every bit of it. Creating anarchy. Let me put this one up. This is my girl, Brosia. She's just a dope person, super artistic, super fun. Her and her husband are just like the couple. If you go on in page, they do a lot of like sexy stuff together. They're that couple that have the sexy pictures together. So shout out to Brosia and her husband. They really locked in. So I appreciate you coming through, and you're definitely gonna be on one of these panels one of the days. So appreciate you. And who else? Did I miss anybody new? Oh, okay. So go ahead. And Kasim, I want him to finish out. Then I want AK to jump back in there. Then Sally, if you want to kind of finish it out, it's fine. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead, Kasim. I want Kasim because he's been interrupted a couple times.
Okay, so I'm living in here in amazing New York City, right? And I understand that there's timing for everything. And a lot of men say, well, Kasim, you know what? I was just out here and I was trying to talk to this woman, on the street, but, she wouldn't like talk to me. And I was like, well, was she walking quite fast? Yeah, that's because she's on a mission. She had somewhere to go, right? Just because, you happen to see her doesn't necessarily give you the right to just walk up on her because people are in a particular mindset in a particular zone. I recommend that you go to some of those businesses, right, when they're in a more relaxed, open state for you to holler at them. I used to be a manager at Equinox Gym, right, on 63rd and Lexington. And I would see the men and women coming in to work out. They would be very dedicated in what they had to do. There was very little flirting on the exercise floor, where the exercise machines were, where the weights were, where all the swimming was. All of the interaction thing was happening at the freaking cafe, at the juice bar, over across the street, right? So I think men need to do better at looking at social cues and body language and knowing which is the best way to approach this woman, and not necessarily in a scarcity mindset. She's not the hottest thing up in here smoking. There's going to be plenty of women, that I'm going to run into not only in here but throughout my day. But timing is everything, right? Because you're never going to get a person a second chance to make a lasting impression. And at that first approach to her is all weak and awkward and geeky and nerdy, it's going to be very hard to recover from that. So what I recommend to do is for the man to find the right opportunity and the right circumstance to shoot his shot, and to shoot his shot well. But then that comes to a level of maturity of knowing exactly when to do it and what the environment is. A lot of men don't pay attention to the environment. They just go ahead and react on how they're feeling based upon how she's looking, and then it turns out all wrong. These are one of the things that we should teach men in these certain situations, to watch out for body language, social cues, and the environment in order for them to have the best chance.
Okay, AK.
Can I?
The AK jump in there, then you can finish it after. You can go after Sally, Letitia.
Well, I think we can teach men to do all of these things, but I mean, let's be honest. The average guy is not going to be like, you literally asking the average guy to be smart, funny, charismatic, be able to understand social cues, be able to do all of these things, right?
Yes, all of that.
Kasim, don't interrupt.
You do that for a woman that's been on top of 15 before. Yeah, no, that's no.
No, you do that for you.
No. But
You
that's
do
not
that for
what you're
you,
talking
fam.
about, though. You talking about
That's
doing
what
that
I'm
to
talking
approach
about.
this woman.
Hold
We
on.
talking about approaching a
No,
woman, right? We're not
no,
talking
but
about
you
doing it
have
for
to,
you.
but you do have to approach them though, right? You do have to be the man to approach, right? You can
Yeah,
still do
you
all of
do.
those
Of course.
things,
Yeah,
but
of
again,
course.
it's about timing, environment, and opportunity. You have to show men when exactly the right timing is, if the opportunity is right, and if the environment's cool. You just can't tell them just to go in there and shoot your shot because that's how the most rejection that they'll get, and that's why they'll get frustrated because hey, man, I'm going out here, I'm putting wood on the fire, but I'm not getting no results. That's because you don't have the right timing, the opportunity is not right, and the environment's not right.
If you
Tell
put
them
wood
what
on
those
fire, it's
things
gonna
are.
burn hotter. But okay.
Sally just
Say
said,
again?
go ahead and get rejected and rejected often. That's what Sally just said.
Yeah.
But as men, we go through rejection. Do you not go through rejection,
Of
Sharon?
course.
Does not every man going through here through rejection?
Not Sharon.
Sure, he does, man. Don't listen to that stuff he's saying.
Not Ronnie
Listen,
Rebel.
don't fall for that. And
Sharon,
this is the
100%,
Never
problem.
met a woman
This
that
is the
told me
problem that
no.
we're having right now. We are not telling our men,
They call him
right,
Tropic
to
Thunder in
man
the
up
street.
and to have some freaking confidence and get everything together because this is what those women are looking for in men. They're looking for that masculinity. They're looking for a leader. They're looking for freaking confidence.
No, they
Right?
are
Because
not.
that has everything to do with
No, they're
provision,
not.
protection, problem solving, and procreation. You cannot
Hey,
deny
hey,
female
Kasim.
nature.
Hey,
And wait a
Kasim.
minute, I'm gonna land this. I'm gonna land this and be out because I got to go. Every one of us men in here know exactly what female nature is. We've experienced it. We know no matter what they say, they're gonna do something completely different. And for us to ignore that female nature, right, and explain that female nature to men so they can get better results, we're doing a total disservice to all those guys out there. I'm not going to sit up here and gaslight and say, oh, you do this, you do that. Like, no, understand how women think. Understand what women are looking for. Understand their biology, because if you don't, you're not going to, first of all, be in a relationship, know how the woman for to stay in your relationship, and get the true feminine benefits that women have to offer when they're dealing with a man. That's where I think we need to go.
Most of
We
them
need to stand up on this stuff and tell these men what the deal is, and quit pampering them and quit coddling them.
Mm-hmm.
No,
Period.
the problem is, Kasim, the problem that you are missing, Kasim, these young men are not having a problem having sex. That's
It's
not
not
the
about
problem.
that. Sharon, I have
So,
three boys, fam. 27, wait a minute,
I'm saying,
27, 20.
I think you're
Sharon,
missing the
I have
conversation.
boys that are
Sharon,
in
let
this
him-
world,
missing
man.
it.
Wait.
I think you're
Kasim,
missing
let
the
Sharon finish
conversation.
it. Finish one. Let him
I
record,
think
and
you're
then-
missing the conversation. We are not saying that the young men are having a problem having sex. The problem is they taking themselves out of the dating market because they want to actually have wives.
Right.
And it's not enough of them out there. And older women are teaching younger women to get out of the dating market. They tell them, no, go out there and be fruitful. They tell them what we used to tell men to do. This is what women are telling young women to do. Like, no, you need to
Sharon,
go have
Yep.
many
you just
relationships
negated
as you
your
can.
whole point because I asked you about your girls. Your girls, you told your girls that they would find somebody in college in the library. It's the same thing I told my three boys. That's why my oldest son got married, because he found a nice girl that was in the freaking library. I told my middle son, 25, like, listen, you're about to go into dentist school. There is somebody in your class in the library that might be really cool for you. I recommend you look for her. We
So,
know what to
Kasim, I
tell
think the
these
problem
guys
is,
that.
I think you missing what the conversation is actually about, and you talking about something different. This is what I'm picking up right now. You're talking about something completely different, because what
I'm
we talking
talking
about
about how
is
the
young men,
I'm talking about how men can get the best results for what they're looking for.
right?
There are good
And
women
that's
out
not what
here.
we're
I'm
talking
telling you
about.
where to
That's
find
not what we're talking
those
about.
good women.
The
Why
problem
not?
is that you're
Percentage.
All right.
Why
Okay,
not?
okay,
But
okay.
shouldn't the goal be for men to have a nice, healthy, long-term, healthy relationship with a woman, and the best odds of them finding that woman and having that woman to stay with them, right? And showing these men exactly where those particular places, from our experiences, where they stand the best chance of finding those women. What's
and
wrong with that?
the problem.
Okay, all right,
Kasim,
hold
is
on.
this.
Hold on. You're both handsome bureau studs. Let's get this conversation flowing. I'm
Under
gonna
control.
you too, AK. We'll already know.
So Kasim, the
Let's
problem what I'm
let's
saying
bring
is
this
that
back. Finish this thought, Sharon.
yeah, the problem is what
Then
I'm
we
saying
move
is
it
that when we find the sign in the gym, I want to talk to men. If a woman is in the library,
Your internet's horrible, Sharon.
Yeah, you borging like RoboCop, Sam.
Yeah, all right. All right. Let's keep it moving. Let's keep it moving. The original subject was about bitterness and hate for the opposite sex, and it seems like Is that creeping? Is all of these things that are happening, is that indicative of people having a bad image of the opposite sex? Because AK, you said it, Sharon is kind of saying it. Is like, is that what you're saying indicative of what we were talking about? The premise of this discussion was, you know, is that, I'm not saying you hate, I'm just saying this narrative that's being propagated in circles about the opposite sex keep people from happiness. If people, if they're taking themselves out of the marketplace, like, okay, I met all these women are acting like that, and the same vice versa, all these men are acting like that, or they're taking them out of the market. You know, what do we got to do to bring them back in the market? Or what do you have to do to help them kind of figure out, okay, this isn't the place where I need to be shopping, or this isn't the place where I need to be, or I need to change this in me so I don't attract this type of person. You know, what can we do? What are some of the steps that we can take to move out of this way of thinking, where it's like, oh my God, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy if you're just thinking ain't no good women out there, so you're going to be hypersensitive and looking for the negative things that of women, and things are going to be elevated. Like, you're going to say, oh yeah, see, I knew she would do that. She ain't no good, or whatever. You might throw away a lot of good people because of something that you're not giving the person the possibility to maybe work through or kind of grow through. It's just like, because I've seen a lot of women who in them streets, and they got with men, or they didn't get with men, and they developed themselves, they grew, and now they happy, well-adjusted people in long-term relationships. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying I don't believe in fairy tales and think that's how everything is going to end up, but it's still possible. Just like it's possible for men to not be judged by certain standards, to be judged by the bitterness that someone may have. There's men who don't fit that mold. There's women who don't fit that mold. There's women out there who are really, and I think I'm optimistic. I think it's the majority of women out there who don't fit that mold. I think, like I said before, if that's what you keep attracting, that's because you keep going to the same pond to fish. You keep putting yourself in the same situations where those women are what's the norm and not the outlier. I'm like, seriously, it's just like, it's not that hard. It's not that difficult. You know, certain women have certain priorities, and they, like I said, they tend to congregate together, or they tend to be, or tend to do the same, display similar behaviors, whether it's social media or in public. You know, and if that's what you're looking at, it's kind of on you, and vice versa. And I'm saying that goes both ways for women as well. Women, if you're thinking all men are dogs and all they do is this, it's because you're going to these places where those kind of men congregate, those kind of men flourish. And what you need to do is realize, okay, this is not the spot for me. I need to go places where men who have a different way of thinking congregate. You know, so that's just kind of what I mean. So I want to get Sally back into it, and then we'll let Will jump in. Sally back to it. What do you got to say about what's going on?
You know, honestly, to be honest with you, like, again, I've just been listening to everything that's been going on, and I want to bring something back for me personally. I think one of the things that I've been doing is I've been seeking out, you know, when I talk to my male friends, I always try to bounce things, because one of the things that I want to do is I want to learn to understand how they tick. I want to understand, you know, how they work. You know, I think that men are actually looking for the same thing that we are, you know. So for me, I will call my friends and I'll be like, hey guys, what do you think about A, B, C, and D? What do you think about this? Why do you guys this? So I really have worked on trying to get inside the brain or the mind of a man, so that I know how to facilitate my future person, right? So I'm consistently working on that. Part of the problem, though, coming back to what I'm hearing, is we're going through this vicious cycle of, like, again, you know, we're separating, and it's like, at the end of the day, we're not the enemy. Like, women are not the enemy of men, and men are not the enemy of women. I think we need to understand our roles. I think we each have roles, and I think a lot of those roles have been discombobulated by a lot of factors, by a lot of things. You know, I read in the chat earlier where somebody was talking about, oh, women, you know, don't submit. That's not true. I'm looking to be that submissive woman to a man, though, that knows how to lead. So there's specific things that I'm looking for in order for that man to lead. So I think coming back into, you know, really getting back to healthy relationships, healthy dating scene, I think roles need to be defined again. They need to really understand, number one, men are hunters by nature. And I think Kasim said it best. Lions don't just, they go on the prowl. They look for the prey for the right time to go, because by nature, men are hunters. That's what they do. So everything, again, it comes back, what I'm hearing is timing. What I'm hearing is getting out of the negative cycle, self fulfilled prophecies. Damien, you said it exactly. What you keep coming out, what comes out of your mouth is going to be a self fulfilled prophecy. You know what I mean? Like, and again, if we don't understand each other's roles, I try to understand a man's role. Like, when my dude, whoever it is, steps in, I'm gonna stroke his ego. I'm gonna be like, I'm gonna continue to encourage him, because doing that, I know he's gonna be that safe space for me. He's gonna give me what I need to grow. I need a leader. I need a man who is, he takes the lead. I need him to do that. But in the process, because I've been working on myself, we're gonna partner up. You know what I mean? We're gonna have equal roles, right? And we're gonna understand each other. We're gonna cultivate something. Relationships take work. So again, coming back to, I think Sharon was saying this, that I was saying, get rejected, get rejected, get rejected. That's not what I was saying. I'm saying in life, we are going to experience rejection, but you have to use that as a form of character building, working on these things. I think cultivate healthier relationships. The dating scene right now is a mess. It's a hot mess, and I think because we're trying to fight a war that we're not going to win until we find solutions. Again, coming back to the basics, what is the role of a man? What is the role of a woman? I think until then, we're going to continue to have the shenanigans that we're having today.
I want to address this chat from my girl Brosia. She wrote, I feel like even going to places where there's different type of men, that men from the library and the church are the same thing as men from the club. If they are, it's that means they haven't divested from that type of thinking fully. They haven't been that, they're that usually that not that far removed from the places where they where they're thinking like that was the norm, whether it be cheating, whether it be womanizing. They're not away from those long enough for it to really sink in and get down to who part of their character. They made the change. They're convinced, but they're not committed. So, like I said, they haven't.
No, Damon, be honest and tell the truth. This is the problem, that no matter what a man does, is a woman out there saying that all men are horrible. Even if you find him in a church, if you find him in the goddamn library, it doesn't matter where you find that man at, he's going to be the same as that bad one. That's what she is saying. This is the problem that men are having. Even the good ones, they have every man that is walking down the street, it's deemed as a demon. And all he wants is vagina. Everyone.
Yeah, I mean, people are going to color the people around them or the people they see with their own brush. The brush of their experience is how they're going to cover them. Like if they've dealt with it, all people are going to be looked that way. My dad had a saying, and that I agree with. He said, "A shady person can't imagine no one not being shady." And that's the way it is. So I think, like that too. You made it. I agree with that point. If you haven't done the work in yourself first, then you'll still attract and you'll still be gravitating and you'll still find those people who are still in that mind state. It's like you'll still kind of find, if you still got the bullshit on it, you'll find the dudes who's still on the bullshit. Same thing with women. If you still got bullshit on you, you'll find the men who are about some bullshit. And I knew Letitia was trying to say something, and we interrupted her a long time ago. And then we're gonna let Tisha, then AK, and then
listen. I forgot now. Y'all going on ahead.
Okay, sorry. All right, AK, what's up, brother?
I mean, I think it's a good conversation, but really, I've been with my wife 20 years now, so we've been married 15, and the biggest thing that keeps you together is your expectations. So for me, for my children, I help them set expectations. Like my daughter, I teach my daughter what to expect from men versus not just telling her what a man is. I show her like, hey, this is what you should expect from a man, but it's certain things that she wants me to do. And I have to tell her like, hey, baby, look, you can do that with your mom. Men, we don't do that. Like I'm not crossing that line. And the same thing with my son. He sees from his mother what to expect from a woman. So he now models the women that he looked for after his mother. Now, granted, it ain't that many of them out there, right? But that's the problem though, because the average woman like isn't wifey material, like because she's too free. The average woman is way too free. Her expectations are way too high. Her ego is way too inflated. Now, I will say the average guy, you know, you got some of those that ask for too much, right? So that's why I think on the female and the male side, like we got to set expectations. Like you can't be an average guy and then be talking about like, hey, you know, I make 50,000 a year, but I want my woman to be able to do all of these things and it's like, bro, you got to help out with that. You don't make enough for her to be able to, you know, for her to be able to kind of do what she need to do. But also as a woman, like what are you talking about? You want a guy that can lead and provide, and like the only thing you bring is fake. The makeup, the lashes, the fake hair. Bro, I'm in Atlanta and every girl I see 25 and under, it's like they either got fake nails, fake lashes, like injections, butt shots, or either they way overweight. And it's like, you ain't even had no kids yet. Like you 200 pounds, you ain't had no kids yet, but you think because you got a fat ass, you look good. So I think expectations need to be set on both sides. Because if you expect
okay,
go ahead, brother. Go ahead. Hold on. Let me just respond to that again, too, because real talk though.
This nigga's spitting right now.
I mean, because it's just one of those things where I think what happens is that the people's self-image gets inflated because all those women that you spoke about, there is a guy who would be considered high status that will smash. So they think, oh my God, you know, I look like this, but you know, one of the Atlanta Hawks smashed me, so I must be on that caliber, and that's what I'm gonna set my standard to moving forward. That's what I'm not gonna accept anything else, because anything less is settling. And then reality, a lot of times reality don't come until they're like in their late 30s. Then it's like, oh, maybe I can't get the Atlanta Hawk or the Atlanta Falcon or whatever like that, because I don't have what they're looking for. I had what they were looking for that one time, but that's it. Then reality kind of comes back into play. I hear what you're saying, what have you, but I think we got it's the chicken or the egg thing. It was like high status men hook up with women that traditionally they wouldn't seek for relationships. So it kind of inflates their ego, thinking that, okay, this is the kind of status. And then they say, okay, the average guy who would love, cherish, provide, and protect ain't good enough. So I think it's like, who is at fault first? What was the original sin there? Like, was it the guy, the overflating of guy, or the guy the guy utilizing the woman that was probably lower than he could have got because it was easy access, and then inflating her ego, or the woman with the inflating ego not giving the guy who's probably really on her level access? What is
if I had to answer that question, I think all of this is the fault of men, because like as men, we are the leaders of society. So because think all of these girls, they have fathers somewhere, right? So at some point, it was a man that should have been teaching her and leading her, guiding her into who she should be. Because you know how they say fathers keep girls off stripper poles? It's like, yeah. And also all of these women, like these single mothers, they had fathers and they had grandfathers and uncles, you know. But I can tell you this, the generation above me, they didn't prepare our generation for shit. They didn't prepare us for anything. They didn't tell us anything about life, how relationships worked, like what to expect from a man or a woman, like what to expect from the world. They just kind of like did the best they could and just sent us on our way. And that was it. And everything we learned, we kind of learned the hard way. And a lot of these people out here broken, men and women, you know, but at the end of the day, I always blame the men. Like you think all the OnlyFans models, they couldn't be rich if it wasn't for the simp man paying for it. Right. I mean, all of these things are because of the men. It's like the men, if you want a woman to be, you know, there, then your daughter, you should be teaching her these things. But most children were raised without a father. You know, my sister, same way. I got a twin sister the same age as me, still dealing with trauma from, you know, things from not having a dad. Like I'm the closest thing to a dad she's ever had. And she don't even listen to me. And I've been there with her every day of her life.
Can I jump in right there?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead. Of course.
No, because me and Damien, we were talking about this earlier. And what did I say about fathers? I said, one of the biggest problems is people don't think it's the role of a father is as important as the role of a mother. That's one of the biggest problems. A lot of men, they don't know how important their role is because society has told them, oh, you're not important.
I'm a mom. I want to be a single mom. I need that welfare. The man got to go. And it's really happened in the Black community. That's where it all started at, right or wrong.
Right.
So it's just kind of, Sharon.
Just finish your thought. Finish the thought, and then let Sharon jump in if you want to say something.
No, the only thing I was gonna say was, AK pointed out he was in Atlanta, and I'm like, okay, I see why you talk the way you talk about women. And then Sharon, I'm thinking New York, but where are you from?
New
And
York.
I see why you talk about where you are. So now I know, like, I hear y'all better, because I feel like all you guys are saying is, there's a lot of pressure on men, but women have no accountability. And for where you guys are at, I agree. I have life coached a lot of people from New York, and I was like, oh, they different. They think way different in Atlanta. So I'm gonna give it to y'all, because I understand y'all. I see y'all. I
want Will to
go
ahead. Go ahead, Will. I know you had something way back, and I just want to make sure you get your points out.
Yeah. I wanted to respond to I think when AK was talking about, there's a lot of young men out there, they're working themselves, but when they go out there to the dating world with the average woman is not ready to be in a relationship or not wife material. So I have a question for Sharon and AK, Kasim. You guys all seem like competent, talented men, very successful in your own lives, leaders in your own lives.
What am I?
We all know. You too, Damien.
I'm just messing with you, brother.
I'm sure you guys have a certain group of men who you call your close friends that you surround yourself with. There's a lot of average guys out there, but I'm sure you don't just hang around with any guy out there. But I'm sure you guys are very selective of the type of men that you choose to surround yourself with, your inner circle that aligns with your values, your principles, and the goals of what you want to achieve in your life. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes, Kasim said yes. AK said yes.
Yeah, mostly for me. Yeah.
Okay.
Sharon just being a contrarian.
No.
No. Okay.
I got a friend that's an electrician. I got a friend that's a bus driver. I got another friend that is a sheet metal worker. Like, my friends are.
Well, I'm talking about your inner circle. We all have friends. But I'm talking about your inner circle. Your inner circle.
The people who you value their opinion.
Those are I got normal blue collar men as friends.
That's fine as well. I'm not saying it, but they have the same similar principles that you live by or your values, right?
I guess so, because we are married with children. So
okay. Well, but the thing is, for me, because I hear that pushback, right, from a lot of the online, like what are men to do, even if they work on themselves, but the average woman is not ready or not wifey material. But the thing is, like, we can be selective with the type of men that we surround ourselves with. Why can't we do that with the women that we choose to go in a relationship with? If we can do that for ourselves, for the friends that we choose to be with, and the types of men that we surround ourselves with, so we can uplift and be better and choose quality. We understand already in the dating world today, the modern dating world, there's not a lot of quality out there, right? But we still have the accountability to make a choice. So if you don't want average, and you want something better than the average woman, why not just choose better? But
most
the thing
guys
is,
just want an average woman, though.
Yeah.
Most guys just want an average, cute, feminine, nice woman. That's it. That's not ran through. That's all really most guys really want.
Most men only looking for 3 things, but the average woman is looking for 300 things.
No, I understand that the average woman, all those qualities that you just mentioned, AK, yes, I do understand that the things that men are looking for, femininity, coachability, good woman, right? But the thing is, sometimes when I talk to the same men, but then you look at the quality of the woman that they choose to have sex with, or the places they go to, it's not a reflection of the types of women that they want long term.
That's just because they're using them for sex, though.
But that's for me, that's a contradiction. Like, if you want wifey material, then why you're participating in hookup culture, where the consequence is you're gonna be with a woman that is not
the money is
material.
free. The money is free. I mean, you work for some money, and some money people just give you for free. You just gonna turn down free money? I'm just saying. Like,
but then
look at it like this: well, we all want Ferraris.
Let Will get his point out, Sharon.
All I'm saying is, look, I understand it's easy today to get sex. You don't have to do a lot as men, but you have to understand that if you want a wife material, then you have to hold her to a different standard. So if what we want is something long term, but then we still entertain all these girls that below the standards that we want, then you can't have it both ways. If you want something long term, then pick high quality long term women. But the thing is, I do see a lot of young guys complaining, oh, where are all the good? The same thing for women. Where are all the good men at? There are good men out there, but they have high quality standards. Same thing with women. Where are all the good women at? They are there, but you're choosing low quality women. So if you want something better, then do better.
Well, the difference is though, like the men, they aren't choosing these women for relationships. They know in their head 100%. This woman is only smash material. She's not wifey material. They know that. The problem is the women think that that's that guy thinks I'm.
But does that create the image of men being dogs? Does that create men being bad? If they know that it's like, okay, dudes are out there just smashing these women with no intention of being with them, does that say, okay, that justify a woman saying, oh yeah, all men are dogs?
Well, who opens her legs though? Who chooses to open her legs?
No,
well,
but I'm saying,
go
ahead, Sharon.
Could be wifey material, but you broke her down because you smashed her and she could have been somebody else's wife. You could have actually spoke life into her and said, hey man, know your worth.
So I used to me, Damien Wilkinson, I think maybe like 3 weeks ago would say the same exact thing. But now speaking to more younger men more often, right? I'm starting to realize that what they see is that why am I going to go through all the things that Sharon went through when AK, he only had to pay $5 to get the same thing that I'm trying to get. I'm not going to overpay. No man wants to overpay. It's just like, I, you know what? This is how I could put it for women. Maybe women can understand it this way. If you buy a dress for $300 and then you go to a party, you see your homegirl and she got the same dress. So you're like, oh, girl, you got the same dress. He's like, yeah, I got it on sale for $70. Are you still going to look at that dress as valuable? Or are you going to say, I'm going to take this goddamn dress back tomorrow and get my goddamn refund because it is not worth $300 anymore because my friend got it for $70. This is how men look at women when women just giving a box out for free.
So hold on. All right.
They gotta pay full price.
I've heard that argument before. Okay, so but you put it in the context that you were in close proximity to what makes it real. So I want to ask you a question. Say if we use the dress thing because you used it, if we say, okay, you bought this dress and then you go and you say, you know what, I'm moving to New York and I'm gonna go to a party in New York and ain't nobody got that dress before, ain't nobody seen that dress before. Is it still worth $300 for you, even regardless? I'm saying, I think what happens is they say, oh my God, these women have been ran through and blah, blah, blah. She's got 20 bodies on or whatever like that. I'm like, does it matter if she has 20 bodies in Miami and then she moves to California? Does it still matter? Because in your determination, it was the proximity and what was the fact that you knew of what was going on that devalued her. If you never knew nothing about nobody past or whatever, is she still less valuable if it's not proximity? If there's nothing right there that's no indication that she's still living that life.
Yeah, if it's no indication, then there's no indication. Like that's what Kasim said earlier. We gotta go off the social cues. So if she is able to mask all the social cues, of course, people will buy a counterfeit Gucci bag off the rip if it's in the right store. So the Gucci bag could be in the store, but if it's counterfeit, we're gonna spend the regular money, and then maybe later on we'll find out that bag is not a real bag.
What are you gonna say, AK? You said,
well, you can't take a woman and put her in 20 past relationships and then think that a man won't know that she's bringing all of this extra baggage. He may not know the number of quote unquote bodies she's had or whatever. But I mean, let's be honest. Most people, especially the young ones, most of their life is online. But you get a girl's Instagram, Facebook, whatever, you can look at her friends. Like it's all types of cues that shows you like, oh, okay, so this is who you hang around. Oh, so your mom was like this. Oh, so your sisters were like this. Oh, so this is what you do back in the past. I mean, it doesn't take that long.
You're talking about women that have not divested themselves from those bad behaviors or moved away from the situation. Yes.
No.
I remember
moved away.
No, I'm talking about like not just physically moved away. I mean, just mentally moved away. Like I was on a panel with this guy. Shout out Ilkhan Ali. And he said, like, how long would it take and what would they have to do? I'm like, if the woman has, if you look at that woman, you don't see it, and it's not evident from off rip, because like you said, you could go to her social media. If she's still hanging out, twerking on tables, even though she claims that she wants something different, she don't want nothing different. If she's still going, like, if all her friends, if she say she got nothing but pictures of her in church, but then all her friends are twerking at the thing or talking about they trying to holler at Future, then she hasn't divested herself from that environment. So she's still there. You have to see significant amount of effort that was being done, and you can see the progress and the growth there in order to, like, okay, it's not as significant. Of course, you don't want a woman who's still living that life, but if you can see, okay, I've done the things to where unless you like did some deep dive, and you would have no indication, because I don't associate, I don't dress, I don't talk, I don't act like I did when I was in this space. Like, then you don't see any kind of, like, there's no way to sit there and tell, okay, oh, I know I met her, on the bus, and but I feel like she a hoe. I mean, it's what you can, people progress out of that shit, because I'm telling you, I grew up in Oakland. There's a certain segment of my family that have lived a certain type of lifestyle, and I've seen women come up out of that lifestyle, and they are you look at they totally divested from anything. They barely wanted to add me as a friend because there's a link to like old lifestyles they have, but they saw that I was changed, so it was okay. It was one of those things where it's just like, you would never know their past because they've done the fucking work to divest themselves 100%. They're soccer moms going to PTA, IT managers in Seattle now.
That's not the average woman, though.
But it should be, if they want to leave that past behind. It should be what is, and I think men should accept that.
Oh no,
it shouldn't.
No,
it shouldn't.
You shouldn't accept that. I wouldn't.
You wouldn't accept the work if somebody did the work. If somebody in her 20s, she had 20 bodies, and she's 33, and she hasn't slept with one person in 2 years, and there's no indication of any of that.
You have to choose your wife based on what you want your daughter to be modeled after. If you don't want your daughter to, like, your daughter's going to do the same thing, those same tendencies, those same morals and qualities that she didn't have then. She's the same. Look, people don't really change that much. We can all pretend like we really are different and we kind of this and that, and people don't really change that much. So if you were okay with having 20 relationships in a 5-year period, then at some point that is going to show back up. Do you think that somebody can be a serial killer for 5 years and then after that they're just saved?
Between serial killer, there's a difference between serial killer.
No, it's not. She killing the cucumbers. I'm just saying. She killing the cucumbers, man. And what you know about that, like, you can't tell a man what to accept, though. Like, you can't say that he should you gonna tell a young man to work his whole entire life. Right?
I'm not saying what he should accept. I'm just saying it's just like, if
you said it though. I mean, you said men should accept that.
I said if you do accept that, make sure that she's done the work to divest, show that she's completely divested from that way of thinking and that lifestyle, and be okay with that. And you be accepted for that. If you've done it, don't feel bad if you fall in love with somebody who had a checker past, but they've done the work to get out of it. Don't feel don't let people make you feel like you should feel some kind of way about it.
I would argue the only men
that
go ahead, my bad, go ahead.
The only men that's going to appreciate women like that is a man that had a past as well. That's it.
That's what
that might be true.
Actually, I was about to ask AK, if you slammed down 20 girls and then you met in your past, and then you met a woman who slammed down 20 men, do you feel you're in a position of judging her?
Yes, he does.
Yeah, I'm always judging. Yeah, that's what covers on books are for, to judge them. Yeah. Yeah, I'm judging. Yeah. Okay. Because you have to have children with her, and she has to be the primary, if I wasn't looking for children, then it would be like, well, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily have a problem with it.
But I think
that part I don't agree with.
I feel like
I wouldn't marry her, but I'm just saying, like,
you also got to understand, as a parent,
why not?
As a parent, it's your job to give your kids the tools, but you also got to understand you can give your kids all the tools in the world. It's up to them whether they choose to use them or not. And truthfully, some choose not to use them. You know what I mean? I've seen it happen numerous times, especially working with youth. I know their parents, and I'm just like, you out here, you wow. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
didn't raise you like that. So it's just kind of like, I hear what you're saying. You're just saying if I had to choose, this is what I prefer. I respect that. That works.
Hey, Letitia, you know, probably it's probably because you didn't know them when they was in 20, when they was slamming 20 men. And so, you know, maybe that's according to AK.
I want Mena to jump in here. What do you got to say on the subject, Mena? You just soaking up game?
It's a lot. No, I mean, each his own. Like, fuck with the people you fuck with, and if you don't fuck with that, then don't associate with those kind of people. That easy. If you have a specific way of viewing things, if AK doesn't like women that have multiple bodies, but yet he has a checkered past, and it's just his word or the highway, then do you? You found yourself a lovely woman that is cool with it. That's great.
But what's a checkered past though? As a man,
then,
what's a checkered past? Can we define that, please?
I mean, I think we just talked about it. Like, she just asked you if you smash women.
Well, that's not the. It's not the same thing.
Hold on. Let's not use sex, because sex generally it's not going to be viewed as society, not just by men and women, as sex. Let's just say if the dude was a drug dealer in the past, but he owns a lawn care company now. I was like, that's the way men would. It'd be something similar, more similar to that. If
right,
and
I would teach my daughter.
He owns an HVAC company right now.
Well, I ain't gonna lie. I know that society.
I own an HVAC company, so
but society don't look.
Yeah, Toronto's an HVAC company.
Oh, really? Oh, we got a link up.
Small world. I know society don't look at sex the same when it comes to men and women, but I mean, I'm married, but let's just say if I was single and I met a man and he was just like, yeah, I slammed down 20 women, it'd be like, oh, okay. You don't make good choices to be. That's personal.
I actually agree with Leticia.
I think it just depends. Associate with what works for you, and what doesn't, then leave it for what it is. You know what I mean? If you're not into it, somebody else will. The world is really big.
That's not true though.
I mean, that's just what it is. Like I said, you got blessed. You found your soulmate. You got your life planned out. That's fantastic. That's great for you. Same story for the next person and the next. Like, you know, you judge books by its cover. That's a you thing. You could take that up with God. But all in all, you know, I just leave what is not for you and go with what's for you. That's just what it is.
All right. So. All right, this has been a very great conversation. I want to get to final thoughts on the show, because I got to say you guys were a dope panel. I definitely want to have you guys on again to talk about some other stuff if you guys are available. So let's end it with some final thoughts. Let's start with you, Kasim. Regarding the topic, whatever you want to talk about, and how can they get a hold of you?
Well, you guys can get a hold of me on my Instagram at Kasim Morris, KASEIM MORRIS. I think it's important for men and women to get together, because I do believe that men and women are better together. I think it's important for you to find someone that has the willingness to change their behavior, their practices, and their values for the better. Someone that you can get along with, someone that is cooperative with you, someone that can look up to you, and most of all, respect you for who you are as a human being, and know the proper things to kind of coexist with people. But that person has to have the time, energy, and the resources to get involved in a relationship. And I recommend that those individuals work on those three things first before they start getting into a long-term relationship with someone.
All right. Good job. All right. I want to thank you, Kasim, because like I said, I knew that having you on there, you would have a great insight. So this is for you. Appreciate you coming. All right, AK, what you got?
I agree with Kasim. I mean, men and women obviously are better together. But in the Black community specifically, I think for us, our foundation is broken. And the only way that we can really fix it is just set expectations, start with the next generation, and teach them, you know, what to expect from each other, but also to just be reasonable with your expectations. right? I mean, if if my daughter expects $100 for her birthday, but I give her 1,000, she's happy. If she expects 100 and I give her nothing, like she's unhappy. And she expected the same exact thing, but I was the only thing that changed, So that's what I try to preach just to the youth, because let's be honest, most of the people that's our age, this stuff is all they kind of already got their mind made up. They'll do what they want to do anyway. So, let's just preach expectations to the next generation, kind of teach them, and guide them. And that's it. That's it for me.
Appreciate it, brother. We appreciate you. Leticia, what you got for us?
AK, you didn't shout out your Instagram or how people could connect with you.
Go ahead. You look me up on YouTube, Pass the Smoke. All my socials on there, my LinkedIn. I appreciate you though. Thank you.
Yeah. I just wanted to say, you can't open up new doors using old keys, and you can't build nothing solid on a rocky foundation. I appreciate you guys for allowing me to, vibe with y'all and communicate, talk, and that's pretty much it. You can find me on Instagram. My life coach page is talkw_me. Personal page is Leticia, LATECIAMP.
Sharon Bracy, what you got for us, big dog?
Only thing I really got to say is that, like, I think married women gotta push the forefront and let women know that it is good men out there, that they not the only ones that found the good men. It seems like a lot of married women would say, like, yeah, I found me a good man, and I know my brother's a good man, but for other men, they a piece of shit, and I'm scared for my daughter to go out there and date. And I think they're gonna have to change the narrative of that. And also with the being a housewife, those housewives are gonna have to start speaking up and telling them that they do enjoy their life. They are not just desperate housewives and being slaves in the house. No, they enjoy themselves. They enjoy taking the kids to soccer classes and all the things that stay-at-home mother. They enjoy cooking for their fucking family. Stop acting like it's a slave ship, because it's not.
My brother.
And all my stuff is there. Sharon Bracy. That is my name. I ain't running from no smoke.
All right, Mena.
Well, thank you for having me. Congratulations and happy late birthday. It was fun. I appreciate meeting everybody. And just hang with the people that fits in your vision for your life and leave what doesn't, and just follow your dreams, man. Like, everybody's gonna have an opinion, everybody's gonna have something to say, but just have tunnel vision, focus on your goals and what you're trying to achieve and the people you want to surround yourself with. So that's my takeaway on that, and that's all I can say with that. My IG is Mena Mercy and TikTok at Mena Mercy as well. And thank you again.
It's a pleasure. Sally Sale, it's going down. Did it go down tonight, Sally Sale?
It did go down tonight. I'm so happy. I was so happy to be on this panel, you guys. You guys are so dope. Seriously, thank you. First of all, Damien, thank you so much for trusting me to be on here. I appreciate this.
Very welcome.
I appreciate this healthy, amazing conversation, because I think a lot of people need to hear specifically what we're talking about. Is there a solution? Not at the moment, but I really hope and pray that one day we can come to terms to understanding that, understanding our roles as men and women in society, and understanding that, rejection doesn't mean, it only means redirection, and that we can gracefully embrace rejection and embrace disappointment in order to use that as a springboard to continue to build us, to bring build a stronger society, character within us in both men and women, and that I think that at the end of the day, I really do pray and hope that we realize that, again, like I said it earlier, men and women, we're not the enemy towards each other. If we really come to understand how powerful we are together versus separate, man, it's going to be a whole game changer all the way around. So again, you can find me, you can see my name up there, CELI_CELL, pretty much on all social media platforms. And again, Damien, thank you. And thank you for all of you for interacting with me. So thank you.
My man Will.
Damien, as always, thank you for the opportunity to jump on this show, on this panel, and thank you to all the guests. I'm always a big advocate for strong families, and I believe that's the foundation of every great society. For all the men out there that are complaining, because I've shared on this podcast, I'm big on accountability. I think the tenets of masculinity is accountability, resiliency, and discipline. That you cannot be masculine, man, if you're not accountable for your own life decisions. And one of the things I always think about, I'm Pacific Islander. I come through a line of warriors and navigators of my ancestors. I take great pride of the men in the past of my family. And what I always think about all the time when I go through hardships, I always think about the past, that all the past men in my life and my ancestors have gone through every generation of men in my past have gone through all their own hardships, and they still found a way to find a partner and build a strong family to continue the generation to the point where I'm still alive today. And for me is how I believe modern society today is one of the easiest societies, especially if you live in the West. And for me, when I see a lot of men complain about and are so afraid about the challenges that we face today, especially when it comes to dating and relationships, I just think about all the men in my past, like, man, they've gone through hardships and they still found a way to do it. Why can't I? So that's just my perspective. I think there's a lot of complaining. I think you guys as well, you guys have your ancestors in your generations. You guys have gone through their past, but they were still able to find strong families, relationships, and that's why we're all still alive today. And if they can do it, why can't we? It's just we have to make hard decisions. We have to find solutions. We have to take great pride of ourselves as men, and we have to be leaders. And we have to do things that's going to be hard. It's not necessarily going to be easy. And I think that's one of the things I just noticed for a lot of the guys. They're expecting things to be easy. It's not supposed to be easy. It's supposed to be hard. That's why it makes it great. So I appreciate that. I learned a lot from Kasim, AK, Sharon, Sharon. I'm sorry. I've taken accountability on that. I've been messing your name. The entire show. Sharon, Leticia, Sally, and Mena. I always appreciate to hear different perspectives. But I just want men out there, man. Like it's not going to be easy. Take accountability and show great pride not only for yourself but the future generations, because what you do today is going to be the legacy you're going to leave behind for your future children and the future sons you're going to have for your family. So I just want to share that to end up the podcast. Thank you, Timmy.
Well said, Will. So I want to end it with originally this the topic of this podcast was hate or disdain for the opposite sex. What is it doing to us or what have you? I think it veered into something significant as far as people realizing the issues that we had with each other. And I think that's the first part of coming with solutions in order for make sure that we can interact and engage and communicate better. But there was one thing that I was going to show, but I think I still am because it's important. There's a psychology behind people hating on anybody. When you hate on somebody or hate the opposite sex, and there's this doctor named Orion Taraban who has this YouTube channel called Psych Hacks that I think says it really well. So I'm going to play this video and then kind of speak after it. So this is Orion Taraban. Psych Hacks.
Others. Haters almost never carry an accurate conceptualization in their minds of your arguments and beliefs. These conceptualizations are typically warped straw man substitutes for your actual beliefs, maintained through selective attention to evidence that supports their distortion and selective inattention to evidence that disconfirms it. They rarely possess a measured and comprehensive understanding of your position, and they also seem very personally invested in proving that you're wrong. Generally, this is because your very existence as someone who has stood up is itself the shadow of someone who has remained in hiding. You represent parts of themselves that, for whatever reason, they have not allowed themselves to accept and integrate. These parts are denied, disavowed, and projected into others. Haters then try to purify themselves by purging the world of the darkness they have projected into others.
So I think That is a really important fact. Basically, in non-psychological terms, he's basically saying when somebody hates on somebody, it shows more about the person doing the hating than the person that they're hating against. When you espout things in a negative way about women, men, whatever, you're basically showing your who you really are and your lack of your ignorance to somebody else's situation. So with that, I just feel like saying I appreciate everybody coming on. You know, I really enjoyed this conversation. Thank you guys for making my relaunch a good one. You guys were so dope. I'm looking to collab with everybody again as soon as possible. So yeah, I just gotta give you guys a round of applause. And I want to give a shout out to the chat because they kept it active and kept it moving. You guys are great. We really appreciate you too. With that,
Damien,
what'd you say?
can I give you a shout out?
I
don't know if you heard that, but hopefully it worked.
Yeah, it did, brother. I appreciate you, man.
Yeah,
With that,
Damien.
Yeah, thank you, brother. I really appreciate it. Like I said, you guys are at all time welcome to come back. If you guys want me to jump on your shows, I'm more than happy to do that. Sharon, you know I'm gonna be on your show. It ain't even a thing. Will, you know I'm gonna be on your show. So and AK, now I know I'm gonna be on your show. So if y'all others get your stuff together and need me to come through, I definitely would show some love and do it because I appreciate the love that you guys gave me on this relaunch show. So with that, we are out.